He sent me one. This is one we can read.
I switched you. Outlets.
Clerk Toronto, are we ready? I, I would like to call the Monday, March 23rd, 2026 Common Council meeting to order. Clerk Toronto, I believe you would like to make some comments regarding the link for this meeting and other expectations.
Good evening, members of the public. To maintain good audio quality for council and yourselves, we will be muting everyone not speaking by default. If you would like to speak during the public portion of the meeting, please submit your request in the chat. Directions to do so have been listed. We ask that you provide your full name and residential address, as those are required for all speakers at in-person council meetings. Those wishing to speak virtually must activate their camera, displaying the speaker to be recognized by the chair. Additionally, if you are called on, please provide your details in the following format. My name is full name, and I live at residential address. I would like to speak for or against agenda item. You will then be given 5 minutes to speak. Thank you.
All right, again, we reiterate, if you're going to participate online, you must turn your camera on in order to be able to participate. At this time, I'm going to have invocation from Pastor Tony McGraw from Faith Baptist Church. We'll ask everyone to stand. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Tony McGraw, Faith Baptist Church, 10002 Blaine Avenue, South Bend, Indiana. Let's pray together. Father, thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for your protection, your guidance. And Lord, we thank you, Lord, that you allow us to be in a place like this today. We pray, Father, for wisdom and guidance and for the council and for everyone here. But we cannot do this work. They cannot do this work alone. They need your strength. They need your wisdom. So bless and have your way in this meeting and the meeting to follow. And we thank you in every name that is above every name. We praise you. Amen.
Amen. Now we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, Clerk Toronto, would you please give us a roll call?
Councilmember Gooden Rogers. Councilmember McBride.
Present.
Councilmember Warner.
Present.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Present.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Present.
Councilmember White.
Present.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Present.
Vice President Dostoski.
Present.
President Lee.
Present.
All 9 present.
All right, we'll now have reports from the Subcommittee on Minutes from March 9th, 2026.
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the March 9th, 2026 meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved.
I will now entertain a motion.
Second.
There's been a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Special business, we have a special resolution celebrating the establishment of the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association. Ask our presenters, state your name and address for the record, please.
Sherry Bolden Simpson, 5th District, 6216 Exeter Court, 46614.
Oliver Davis, 1801 Nash Street, South Bend, Indiana, 46613.
Thank you, Council. for giving us this time. We are pleased to recognize the newly formed Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association, the first neighborhood association formed under my leadership. I hope that this will start a new tradition of recognizing something good. When you want something to happen over and over again, as principals, we recognize that. And so we thank Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association members for coming here. And we do have County Council Member Randall Figg in the house. I would like to recognize him. Thank you. Just wave your hand. I don't think we have any. I hope I didn't forget any others. And if others are online, yes. Attorney Nussbaum, I think he is online. So we recognize everyone. So we begin by reading the resolution and recognizing. And I want to give thanks to Mary McAfee. She does an excellent job of supporting people who are forming neighborhood associations. So I'll begin. A special resolution celebrating the establishment of the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association. Whereas Lafayette Falls is a residential subdivision located on the south side of South Bend, Indiana, known for its blend of suburban comfort and natural features like a central pond and waterfall. It is situated near US 3120 bypass, providing easy access to regional shopping and dining. And whereas on March 11, 2026, the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association held its inaugural meeting in which over 30 people were in attendance to celebrate this grand event. And whereas during its inaugural meeting, the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association voted the following residents as its board officers: Mrs. Alyssa Bear, President; Mrs. Valerie Weiss, Vice President, she's online; Mr. Austin Vega, Treasurer; Dr. Rashad L. Minor, Secretary; and Mr. Thomas Ferguson, General Homeowners Association Liaison. And whereas the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association will now have an HOA liaison to address the ideals, the concerns, and the activities of the numerous homeowners associations which are found within the Lafayette Falls neighborhood to endeavor their desire to have an increased togetherness in addressing their community needs and goals. And whereas the Lafayette Neighborhood Association will now have representation on the City of South Bend's Neighborhood Consortium, a collective of representatives from active neighborhoods and business associations that collaborate with city administrators. And whereas the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association will continue to address its neighbors' single point of entry/exit concerns that are impacting the neighborhood. The neighborhood currently has only one official entrance and exit from Kern Road. Residents are concerned that this is inadequate for safety and emergency medical access, especially after a serious motorcycle crash at the entrance temporarily blocked all residents from leaving or entering the subdivisions. And whereas the Lafayette Neighborhood Association will continue to advocate for internal safety issues pertaining to frequent speeding and drivers ignoring stop sign within the subdivision, and to construction traffic, which has residents concerned about added burden of heavy construction vehicles sharing their only access road. And
whereas the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association is grateful that the City of South Bend has promised to construct a blister turning lane on Kern Road to improve traffic flow, which construction expected to start in the summer of 2026. And whereas the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association is thankful that the City of South Bend has increased law enforcement in response to safety complaints from the neighbors, the South Bend Police Department increased patrol, which resulted in dozens of traffic stops in the area. And Whereas the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association is thankful that a dedicated construction access will be built to address construction traffic. An access road will be cleared specifically for building vehicles to limit the impact on residential streets. And whereas the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association remains hopeful that a dedicated second permanent entrance and exit will be built in the near future to better address their traffic concerns in their neighborhood. Now therefore it be it provided by the South Bend Common Council as follows. Resolved by the council as follows. Section 1, on behalf of the citizens of the city of South Bend, Indiana, we are pleased to recognize and celebrate the establishment of the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association and its board leadership team. Section 2, the city of South Bend acknowledges the dedication of the residents of Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association as they work to promote safety, to enhance the quality of life for its residents, and to plan and develop initiatives to promote the well-being of the Lafayette Falls neighborhood. Section 3, the South Bend Common Council resolves to encourage the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association to continue its outstanding neighborly service and to promote the residents of Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association and the city of South Bend surrounding areas. Section 4, this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage by the South Bend Common Council and approved by the mayor. And so we are so excited. We have everybody's named from the, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our council members who have signed. And we are so glad that this is time. And we have with us our president. We also have Mr. Randolph, could you come up right after it? And we have somebody from the realtors too, our area realtors to come in and we'll have short comments. Go ahead, President. Thank you. Your name and address.
Hi.
And stand.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Barr. I live at 1514 West Mackey Drive in South Bend, Indiana, and it is my absolute privilege to be here representing the board of the Lafayette Falls Neighborhood Association. On behalf of the board and our entire community, I just wanted to extend a special thanks to the Common Council for this great honor of this special resolution. It is just such a blessing to receive after working so hard to get our neighborhood association started. Obviously, a special thanks to Councilwoman Sherry Bolden Simpson and Dr. Oliver Davis, without whom we wouldn't even know what a neighborhood association was. So thank you both very much for kind of pointing us and guiding us in that right direction. I would also like to second the thanking Mary McAfee and her team in the Department of Engagement and Economic Empowerment. She has just been fantastic, as has everybody in her department. Lastly, if you are from Lafayette Falls, could you please stand? I know our Vice President, Valerie Wise, she's on virtually too. And we just wanted to thank you all and everyone from our community who may be joining us virtually or who is unable to come today. You're the reason why we're doing what we're doing. And it has just been so wonderful to have your support and know that we're working not only to make our community a more safe, vibrant place, but that we're also working to expand the city of South Bend in the way that it deserves as well. So thank you all very much for your time and this recognition.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Councilman Fitz. Name and address.
Sure. I'm Randy Figg. I live at 60822 Greenridge Court, South Bend, Indiana, 46614. I have one precinct in my district from the city of South Bend, it's Lafayette Falls. And so I live about a mile from them. And I want to thank Councilmember here and Councilmember for their work. And I want to thank all of you, one, for funding that turn lane, because I drive on Kern Road every day. And I am so happy for that. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Was Tiffany going to say something to online? Tony was going to say something online.
He what? I can't see.
Is there anyone online that would like to say anything?
Yeah, he's,
I can't see if he's here or not.
You must turn on your camera.
you see someone?
I do not see anyone.
Okay. All right.
Wait, we have one more, sorry. Miss Valerie, can you
Vice President.
turn on your camera and unmute yourself, please?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
I can hear you.
From a hotel room in Austin, Texas. My connection sucks because I'm in a Marriott. Sorry. I just wanted to also extend the same thank yous that Alyssa said, because this has been a really good journey. And like she said, if Dr. Oliver Davis would not have chased us originally out of that room when we came for that very first meeting and say, hey, we need to partner together as community and as council and figure out a way. And then Sherry, you jumping in and also saying there is a way for us to do this, we would not have gotten as far as we would have today. So I appreciate the two of you being advocates for all of this, the city council continuing to encourage us, and we are just getting started. That blister is one of many changes that we're going to see in the future.
Thank you very much. All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Picture? We'd like to take a picture with everybody's here.
Just real quick.
Come on up.
Everybody, let's move quickly.
And we have,
I'm gonna give it to the president.
yes, give
Yeah,
present.
thank you.
And we emailed it to everybody for you to send out.
Thank you so
Come on up.
much.
All right. You'll face that way.
No, we'll let you all we'll take the picture. Can you take- Yeah.
Everybody in? Sure. Come on. Councilman Fitz, too.
Sorry, I don't live in Lafayette.
Right? 1, 2, 3, money.
All right, I got a bunch.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See ya.
One of these bills, you have to sign in the exhibit. I'll double check. Which one?
Anything, Bob?
No, that's what I said.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, we're going to resume our meeting. I will now entertain a motion to resolve into the committee of the whole. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passes.
Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council's meeting where bills are given a second reading and a public hearing before a committee made up of all 9 council members. All bills set for the second reading and public hearing have previously been given a first reading and a committee hearing prior to this evening's meeting. In addition, we will hear from the chairperson of the standing committee where the bill was discussed and the results of that discussion. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from a staff member will be given. In all other situations, the formal presentation on the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report. The formal presentation shall be untimed. After the presentation, the council members will have an opportunity to ask preliminary questions of the staff and presenters. Then members of the public shall have the opportunity to address the council about the bill in the public hearing portion. Clerk Torado, can you please give bill number 7-26 a second reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, to vacate the following described property. The First East-West Alley north of First between Elmer and the First North-South Alley west of Elmer.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a committee report?
Yes, the zoning and annexation committee met and we bring this bill with you with a favorable recommendation.
All right, thank you. And do we have a presenters, staff member? Welcome petitioner.
My name is Noemi Ruiz, and this is my husband, Ezequiel Ruiz. We live in 901 North Elmer Street, here in South Bend, 46628. And the reason why we're here is because we want to vacate the alley that it's next to our property. And like the alley it's not being used by the public, and we have been taking care of it, and it has helped keep the area clean and safe in our neighborhood, and we wish to continue to keep having it that way. The reason that there is already a fence in the property, it's because in the past we thought we had started the vacating the alley, and we want to finish that process, and we want to make sure that everything is the right way. And we are also willing to meet the requirements that the city is asking for us, which will give us 90 days if it is passed.
Thank you. And just to clarify, you own two pieces of property. There's a section alley that runs between your two pieces of property, and
Yeah.
you've had it fenced in for at least a while now.
Yes, I think more than 10 years.
Okay, 10 years. All right. Staff, anything to add to the, okay. We'll bring it back to council. Council members, any questions regarding the alley vacation?
We just need to clarify. Okay.
Okay, so that's my mistake. I asked the wrong committee chair for their
Yeah, I came in real
recommendation.
quick.
So Councilmember Gooden Rogers, do we have a committee report?
Yes, the Public Works and Property Vacation met this afternoon, and we come to the council with a full recommendation.
Thank you. I
All right,
apologize.
another favorable
I jumped.
recommendation. Council members, any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, we'll go to the public. Any members of the public this time wishing to speak either in favor or against Bill 726, the alley vacation? Anyone in the room, in person or online, in favor or against?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor.
Okay, we have no public speaking, and we have a favorable recommendation from committee. Council members, any comments, questions, or a motion?
Motion to send to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Nitzgotsky and a second by President Lee. All those, we're going to do a roll call vote on that motion. Thank you.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Thank you.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Vice President Nitzgotsky.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 726 will go to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation. At this time, clerk, can you please give Bill 826 to the full council? I'm sorry, you are correct. To the full 726 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
0826 was tabled.
826 was withdrawn, correct?
Yes.
And pulled
Yeah.
from the record. Okay, I got a shake of a head back there. Okay, so we're going to move on to 926. At this time, clerk, can you please give Bill 926 a second reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana for budget transfers for various departments within the City of South Bend, Indiana for the year 2026.
Good evening, Mr. Willis. Welcome.
You. Hi, Willis, City Controller, offices on the second floor. Bill number 9-26, authorized budget transfers. A couple here, $60,000 budget transfer within the police department for building improvements for storage of explosive materials. And budget transfer of $6,000 within the general city division to transfers to cover City Hall facility expenses. Happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you, sir. Council members, any questions regarding Bill 926? Various budget transfers.
Chair, can we get a recommendation?
Sure, we can get a recommendation. So this would be from the Personnel and Finance Committee. For my chair, do we have a committee report?
Yes, we do, Councilmember Warner. This was heard this afternoon in the Personnel and Finance Committee and was given a favorable recommendation to the Committee of the Whole.
Okay. So seeing no questions, we'll move to the public hearing portion. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on Bill 926, either in favor or against anyone here in the room or online?
At this time, I do not see any members of the public wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Okay, thank you. Bring it back to council. Any questions, concerns, follow-up?
I'd like to make a motion that we send 0926 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion by Kenneth Lee and a second by Councilmember Nitzkowski for a favorable recommendation on 926. Clerk Toronto, can you do a roll call vote on that motion?
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan, Councilmember Good Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Vice President Niskowski,
Aye.
President Lee,
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. That bill will also go to third reading with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Toronto, at this time, can you give second reading to Bill 26, the additional appropriations?
Public hearing of an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating additional funds for certain departmental and city services operations for the year 2026 of $776,000 from the general fund number 101, $150,000 from the Parks and Recreation Fund number 201, $465,000 from the Motor Vehicles Highway Fund number 202, $500,000 from the Community Investment Operating Fund number 211, excuse me, $50,000 from the Gift Donation Bequest Fund number 217, $300,000 from the Law Enforcement Continuing Education Fund number 220, $2,750 from the Central Services Fund number 222, $21,099 from the IT Innovation 311 Call Center Fund number 279, $296,600 from the Police Federal Drug Enforcement Fund number 299, $2,150 from the Local Income Tax Economic Development Fund number 408, $1,100 from the Professional Sports Convention Development Area Fund number 413, $800,000 from the Waterworks Capital Fund number 622, $20,000 from the Sewage Works Operations Fund number 641, $600,000 from the Storm Sewer Fund number 667, $71,265 from the Century Center Operations Fund number 670, and $5,000 from the Self-Funded Employee Benefits Fund number 711.
Thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion to accept substitute for 1026.
So, second.
I've got a few motions and a few seconds. All those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The 1026 is accepted as amended by the substitute. Vice President Nitzkowski, do we have a committee report?
Yes, we do, Councilman Warner. Substitute Bill 10-26 was heard this afternoon in Personnel and Finance and was given a favorable recommendation to the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you very much. Mr. Willis.
Kyle Willis, City Controller, offices on the second floor. Bill number 10-26, couple highlights here, as we discussed earlier this afternoon. Appropriation of $445,000 from the Motor Vehicle Highway Fund for purchase of additional road salt. The division made a purchased for more so late last year, and since has found that they need additional due to the extreme or normal South Bend winter that we had this year. So, and just to ensure that they have enough to get us through the remainder of the year. Appropriation of 1.9 million out of the local income tax economic development fund for the improvements to the Kennedy Park. This appropriation is supported by grant proceeds for the federal government. And one other appropriation was 1.1 million for the repayment of projects expenses to the redevelopment general fund from the PSCDA fund. Happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you, and appreciate your very quick email from this afternoon's unanswered questions. Thank you. Council members, any questions regarding the allocations bill? Seeing none, at this time, we'll go to the public hearing portion regarding Bill 1026. Is there any members of the public, either online or in person, wishing to speak on Bill 1026? Anyone in favor or against? Welcome. Good evening.
Hi, Tina Patton, 707 Sherman Avenue. May I ask a question just in regard to 1026? Just as it applies to 926.
Patton, are you speaking in favor or in opposition?
I think I'm speaking in favor.
Okay, go ahead.
But my question has to do with 1026 as it relates to 926. Are these budget appropriations because we missed some in from 926? So are these additional budget budget transfers? Are these additional that we did not get within the 926?
No.
So these are just.
Yes.
So they're not additional.
Yeah. Any other questions I can have, Mr. Willis?
Okay.
Do you have any other questions or comments?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Willis, would you like to address that?
So the Bill 926 for budget transfers is the movement of funds between departments within that specific fund. Bill 1020-26 is a bill of appropriation of new spending that is separate from or not even included in the budget transfers. If that clears anything, if that clears it up for you.
And then some of these expenses are things that we're being reimbursed for, correct?
Yes, so in your detail on the additional appropriations, anything that you see that says outside, well, I won't say outside revenues, but supported by outside revenues, meaning revenues that are not really city revenues. It could be state grant revenues or federal grant funds. Those are appropriations that are refunded, the city will be reimbursed for.
And so majority of these are expenses that we're being refunded for, but we have to
appropriate the
them
spending of those dollars. Yes.
in order to spend the money to get it back.
Yes.
So Ms. Patton, I think I'm going to try to, so on 926, those are transfers. So for example, say you didn't spend all of your salary money for your employees, but your travel expenses or your printing expense is more than you anticipated. We're transferring money from one line item to another line item, where 1026 is a new allocation where we are adding money to a line item.
Correct.
Is that?
Yep.
Makes sense.
Thank you. Okay, council members, any other questions, comments? Actually, did we have any other members of the public? I'm not sure. I closed the public hearing.
I do not see any additional members of the public wishing
Okay,
to
we're going
speak
to
at this
formally
time.
close the public hearing. And council members, any other questions, comments regarding the allocations?
I'll make a motion to send substitute bill 10-26 to the full council with favorable recommendation.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second for a favorable recommendation for third reading. Clerk Torado, can you please do a roll call on that favorable recommendation?
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you, 1026. We'll go to third reading with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Toronto, can you please give second reading to Bill 1126?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, authorizing payments in lieu of taxes for Heritage Trails South Bend LP.
Thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion to accept substitute Bill 1126 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of that motion to accept, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The bill is accepted as amended by the substitute. And 1126 was heard this afternoon in community investment after a long presentation and comes with a favorable recommendation. Good evening, Mr. Glavich.
Thank you, Councilmember Warner and Taken. Eric Glavich, Director of Growth and Opportunity. Office is on the fifth floor of this building. As Councilmember Warner had noted, we went through quite a bit of detail at the afternoon session, so I'll try to be brief here. Presenting for your consideration an ordinance that would authorize the city to enter into a pilot agreement with a property owner developer named Heritage Trails LP for a new low-income tax credit project on the south side of town. Pilots are authorized by the state. They enable municipalities or other government agencies or political subdivisions to enter into agreements with a property owner. They're similar to tax abatements in that we're providing a incentive or discount on tax payments. But the difference is that through a pilot agreement, we're establishing what the actual amount to be paid is. Under a tax abatement scheme, what we're doing is we're estimating. We're saying that the assessed value will be abated, and we don't know what the tax payments would be until the assessed value is determined by the county assessor's office. This is the property in which we would be asking to enter into a pilot agreement with. This is the vacant lot that's near the AMC Theater on the south side of Chippewa. The project is a low-income tax credit project, 180 units, targeting income households at median income of 60% or less of the area median income. So again, the features of the pilot, as I mentioned, is we really get to establish what the city is going to be receiving in tax payments. Another thing that differentiates this from a tax abatement is that, under this regime, the city itself is receiving the tax payments directly. These aren't being routed through the county as typical tax payments would be. In this case, through the state code, the funds that we receive through a pilot agreement are required to be deposited into a fund that's called an affordable housing fund. And the state dictates what the uses of those monies could be used for. So once we receive pilot payments, they go into this fund and then we can use them to support affordable housing. It could be through things such as direct financial support to residents or developers who are going through an affordable housing project, or other ways that support affordable housing. More on that as we talk about the resolution that would establish that fund. Here's the project summary. As I mentioned, it's 180 units. It's almost a $50 million project. This project was awarded low-income tax credits at the end of last year. Bergen Held is the developer. We have a representative from Bergen Held here who would be glad to talk about the project. The ordinance that we're presenting to you and asking you to support does a few different things. First, it establishes the pilot, the payment in lieu of taxes regime. It establishes a 15-year payment schedule, and it establishes what the tax payments are for each year. The ordinance also authorizes the staff to enter into this pilot agreement. So the pilot agreement does the same thing basically that the ordinance does. It just lays out, establishes what the payments will be over a 15-year period. And it also directs the developer or the property owner to make sure that they're recording things properly with the county offices so that they know that, they're not going to be receiving their typical tax bill from the county. Now, the pilot agreement, which is an amendment, an exhibit to the actual ordinance, is would be the agreement between the city and the developer, the property owner, Burgeon Held, through their entity Heritage Trails LP. It establishes that, in order for them to receive the benefits of this pilot, they would have to make sure that all their units are provided for households at 60% AMI or lower. It requires them to make sure that they're complying with all of the state requirements. But importantly, the agreement does spell out that these pilot payments, the payments that Heritage Trails will make to the city, are treated no differently than if they were your standard typical property tax payments. So if Heritage Trails LP were to be delinquent on taxes, the city has the full authority to go after that delinquency just like it would under any other typical property tax payment. Much like a tax abatement, we're providing a financial incentive for this project. Basically what we've determined is that, through this 15-year pilot agreement that we would enter into with the developer, that at the end of those 15 years, they will have paid $670,000 in taxes. This lot, as you know, is a vacant lot. If nothing were to ever happen on this lot, it's only bringing in $5,800 a year. So really, as we look out 10, 15, 20 years, even with this pilot in place, we're incentivizing this project. We're bringing in more revenue than we would estimate if no project were to take place. And we're providing additional affordable housing for South Bend residents who need it. Per the agreement and per the ordinance that we're asking you to support, this lays out kind of the tax numbers. So we've estimated what the tax liability is going to be each year during this pilot agreement. And the pilot payment is what Burgeon Held or Heritage Trails will pay the city directly. As you can see, it works out to be about $4.6 million in tax savings. But one of the things is this is the only form of city support that we're providing this project. We're not asking for additional money from Common Council. We're not asking the Redevelopment Commission to provide tax increment financing. This is it. This is the support that the city is providing. It works out to be about 10% of the total project, which is required as developers go through the LIHTC application process. It's important that municipalities provide a 10% support in order for them to maximize the points that they receive on their application. The application would not be successful if the city were not coming in at a 10% rate of support. So I will pause there. I tried to go through as quickly as I can. I'd like to introduce Cole Caress, who's from Burgeon Held, and he can answer any questions too about the project.
Good evening, welcome.
Thank you. Cole Caress with offices at 8902 North Meridian Street in Indianapolis. Sure, yeah. I'll just run through a quick overview too of the project. So Burgeon Held, we're out of Indianapolis. We specialize in these projects, the management, the construction, and the development of them all across the country. And we're excited to have one here in South Bend. It's a 180 unit family project on Chippewa Ave. That was awarded the 4% competitive tax credits in November. So this project has already gone through the ICDA process for the award. I laid out a little bit of a timeline there at the bottom. We're looking to close here in May of 2026 with construction starting immediately after with a rough 18-month construction schedule. We are in for permits right now with the city and awaiting some feedback, and then we will go out to bid here in the next week or two for that project. So we invite everyone in South Bend to please bid and whatnot. These rents that you see here represent what the rents will be for 1, 2, and 3 beds geared at that family demographic. I would like to point out that we're doing a $4.2 million solar installation through rooftops and carports that eliminate all of the electric load for the project. The owner, being Burgeon Held, will pay for the remaining of the utilities, including free Wi-Fi. So that rent number that you see will be what a resident would pay monthly, depending on what size bedroom or unit they are in. So as Eric said earlier, we're on the south side, kind of off of Chippewa, just north of the AMC movie theater. That's our current site plan, featuring 6 residential buildings ranging from 12 to 36 unit buildings with a detached clubhouse. We'll also have an in-ground pool as well as the carport structuring, which kind of adds a nice amenity for residents free of charge. So here's some of the amenities that we'll offer. We'll have on-site management and maintenance staff staffed all day during the work weeks. We'll also have an in-ground pool, like I mentioned, a community space, a fitness center, a computer center, and multiple walkable green spaces throughout the site. Some of the construction details, it is a 3-story building, brick and hardy plank, with each unit having balconies, LVT and carpet flooring, and granite countertops. We'll also have in-unit washer and dryers provided by the site. Another nice benefit is the site will also cover 100% of the Wi-Fi throughout, free of charge to each resident. And like I had mentioned earlier, we will have that site-wide solar installation, both through rooftop mounting and carports, kind of eliminating all those utility costs that can be super vulnerable and fluctuating for residents. So we found a huge success in that, and we're excited to have one here in South Bend as well. So I'll open up the questions for, I guess, Eric or I regarding the pilot or the project.
All right, thank you. Just one point of clarification. I know this afternoon in committee, we heard both the bill establishing the pilot and the resolution setting up the Affordable Housing Fund. But for 7 p.m., that resolution will be a little later down in the agenda. So you get a kind of a expansion on what will happen to those funds in the resolutions. Council members, questions at this time regarding Bill 1126?
I have one.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Yes, to Mr. Clavich, I was kind of wondering, after the 15 years, where does this program go from there?
Yeah, so after the 15 years, we're in a 40-year land use agreement. So we'll have the affordability on the land in the project for 40 years, but after the 15 years, we could go back to the IHCDA and resyndicate for tax credits. So the process could start over with a pretty substantial rehab process as well. So after that 15 years, we could put it back through the IHCDA, get more tax credits, and invest more money into the property.
Thank you.
Good question. Member Thomas Morgan.
Yes, this is a question for the developer. I'm just really impressed by the quality that's going into these units that you described, the 100% solar installation and free Wi-Fi built into the rent fees. Is that standard for your other developments in other cities?
It is, yep.
Okay, thank you. And then just secondly, Mr. Glavich, I asked this question earlier, but just I thought for the sake of for this audience that you could just briefly kind of recap. I had asked, this is a new tool. This is the first time that we're using it in South Bend, and my question was, will this be the preferred tool moving forward for every other development for affordable housing? Could you recap your response?
Yes. It's likely that you might see staff working toward pilots for low-income tax credit projects. Several reasons. One, the pilot agreements are typically 15 years, and those are the agreements that these developers enter into with the IHCDA. So they align in terms of timelines. The IHCDA, to our understanding, likes the pilot framework as opposed to tax abatements because it's clearly establishing what the property owner and the development is going to pay in taxes. So it's removing the ambiguity that's already there from a tax abatement. And then as we talked about in the 4 o'clock meeting, also the fact that we can enter into pilots after they've received their IHCDA low-income tax credit awards makes it a more economical method in terms of we don't have to come to you before the application, before the award is granted. We can simply commit that the city will negotiate with them for a pilot agreement. The state then takes that into consideration. And then upon the award, then we can come and, like we are now, and ask council to support an agreement.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll just point out, these are very competitive. We didn't get any for like 15 years. So now it sounds like we have high expectations and to getting more. President Lee.
Thank you for your presentation. And again, thank you for answering that question that Councilwoman Rachel Thomas Morgan had asked. So after, so now that the county is not receiving this tax money, it goes to the fund, and the fund will then utilize that money to help more affordable home projects be established.
Yes, so there's, I mean, we'll talk about it as we look at the resolution, which would establish the
Okay.
fund. But the state allows 4 primary uses for these pilot funds. So as Bergen Held's project continues and we start receiving pilot payments, and then assuming we do additional pilot agreements with other developers, and we start bringing in, and that funds start growing, we have different ways that we can use it. We could use it for support for residents. So we could do, these are just examples. I'm not saying that these are things that we would do, just as a disclaimer, but we could be doing rental assistance program or help with a down payment on a home for residents. We could do financial education classes, related, focusing on home ownership. We can also work with the developers. So we can provide assistance to the developers. We can do infrastructure work that supports a housing development that's focused on affordable housing. And the state requires that any of those funds out of this new fund that we're going to set up, the Affordable Housing Fund, has to be used to support affordable housing for households at 80% AMI or lower. So really those in the community who, really need the support in terms of having high quality housing. So it's exciting that we have a project like this and we can start to build this fund up. We can hopefully enter into more agreements and have another tool at our disposal for really providing, the support for affordable housing and maximizing kind of the efficiency of how we use those funds.
And my final question is, with it's only for low income projects like this, we wouldn't do a pilot for market rate.
Correct.
Or
Yeah, the state requires that, entity that we enter into a pilot has to meet certain requirements. And one of them is, providing an affordable development. So,
thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to go to the public portion of the bill regarding Bill 1126. Any members of the public wishing to speak on Bill 1126, either in person or online, regarding the establishment of a pilot for Heritage Trails South Bend? Anyone in person or online?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor or in opposition at this time.
Thank you. I'm going to ask council members, please all silence all your devices. Thank you. We're going to close the public hearing and go back. Any council members with further follow-up questions, comments?
Make one
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm very pleased with the paying of the Wi-Fi. The students need reliable Wi-Fi. So I hope it's reliable for them to use, school-age students to use Chromebooks, and many of them, since seems to be family-oriented. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I will say this is kind of the third presentation now I've seen of this. And, first it was touted as some new tool, a little different. I think both the tax abatement and the pilot are really tax phase-ins, right? They do basically the same thing. It allows us where we have the 10% requirement. So in this case, we have to provide $4.7 million in assistance. Both let us do that. However, the pilot lets us do that with a little more certainty. We know exactly what those payments are going to be. Whereas the tax abatement, for example, Stadium Flats and Diamond View down here that's going up. We passed that tax abatement 4 years ago, I think. So that the assessments and everything have shifted, and so you've lost that kind of certainty on exactly what that tax phase-in is now. Is at that point, we have an estimate, but so just my thought on it. Any other council members? If
Chair, I move that Bill 1126 go to the council with a full recommendation.
I second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilmember Gooden Rogers and a second from Councilmember Tomas Morgan to send it forward with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Toronto, can you please do a roll call vote?
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski,
Aye.
President Lee,
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. That will also go to third reading with a favorable recommendation. Clerk, at this time, can you give a second reading to, I lost my place, 1226? Thank you.
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, establishing certain boundaries for South Bend utilities to furnish water sewage service to the public.
Thank you. This bill was heard in utilities. Do we have a committee report?
Yes, the committee met on and sent Bill 1226 to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Welcome.
Excuse me. Thank you, Council. Michael Schmidt, Assistant City Attorney with offices on the 6th floor of this building, here in support of our request to have Council pass this ordinance this evening. As we discussed at committee today under the leadership of Eric Horvath, the city's Director of Public Works, this ordinance in front of you supersedes and replaces an ordinance that we put in place February 25th, 2014. What we're doing here is under the guidance of outside counsel, sort of reaffirming our utility boundary map to try to avoid any potential questions or confusion over where our exact utility boundaries will be. As communicated by Mr. Horvath, this does not necessarily mandate that we are forced to provide services outside of our city territory, even though that the boundary here will extend 4 miles outside of our outside of city territory. Again, it's mostly a response to the request from IURC to get utility maps updated to, by a better term, have all of our ducks in a row as some legislation has changed downstate, and avoid any questions that may have existed from the time that we had when you guys passed ordinance 10294-14 back in 2014 on this matter. Hopefully you guys received, I know there was a request for an updated map to provide a little bit more clarity. Hopefully that you guys all had success in being able to open that, and it was attentive to your questions earlier. Open to any comments or concerns or questions.
Thank you very much. Council members, any questions regarding the adoption of the water service map? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the public portion. Any members of the public wishing to speak either in favor or against Bill 1226, establishing certain boundaries for South Bend utilities? Anyone in the room or online?
At this time, I do not see any members of the public wishing to speak in favor or in opposition.
Thank you. I'll bring it back to council members. Any follow-up questions? Motion?
I'll make a motion to send Bill 12-26 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice President Niskoski and a second by Councilmember Bolden Simpson. Clerk Toronto, can you please do a roll call vote for us?
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember White. Aye. Vice President Niskoski,
Aye.
President Lee,
Aye.
9 ayes.
All right. 1226 will go to third reading with a favorable recommendation. At this time, Clerk Torado, can you please give?
Council.
Thank you. Please give 1326 a second reading for us.
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 911 Logan Street, Councilmanic District Number 3 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you. Do we have a committee report from zoning and annexation?
Yes, the zoning annexation did meet today, and we bring this bill to you with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Good evening. I'm Brian Killen, zoning administrator, 5th floor of City Hall. I'll be presenting the staff report today. So before you is, I can get it to work. Okay, petition 13-26 for 911 Logan Street. It's at the intersection of Mishawaka and Logan at the boundary between South Bend and Mishawaka. This petition's for rezoning the property from Neighborhood Center or NC to Urban Neighborhood Flex or UF, which would be considered a down zoning from what currently exists. It does come to you with a recommendation, as Dr. Davis said, from staff, Plan Commission, and the committee to send the petition to the council with a favorable recommendation. But here is the current as it exists. It looks very residential, but for almost since 2007, it's been used as a mixed use. It is NC, neighborhood center. So there was a salon on the first floor and an apartment above. But again, it looks very residential. And so the petitioner came to us thinking they wanted to maybe do a single family or a duplex. In NC, that would require a variance because there is a rule in NC that any existing retail that has been established on the first floor and it faces the street cannot be converted back to residential without the variance. Because it is in a zone that's, again, it looks very residential and it does border a neighborhood center. And then to the south, as you can see, it's all residential in U1, both on the Logan side in South Bend and on the Mishawaka side. So we felt that maybe rezoning would be a little more flexible for the petitioner. It would allow them to accomplish their use of the structure as a single family or duplex, but also because it's in that transitional zone between residential and neighborhood center, it also could be converted to small retail as it has existed for a long time as well. So that flexibility necessitated the rezoning. So again, we bring this position to you, to the Commonwealth Council with a favorable recommendation from the Zoning and Annexation Committee.
Thank you. Do we have the petitioner, anything to add?
He is online.
He is online. Okay. I know you were just here about an hour ago, petitioner. Anything to add, sir? Okay. Council members, any questions regarding the down zoning? Okay. With that, we will go to the public hearing portion regarding Bill 1326. Any members of the public wishing to speak on the bill, either in person or online, anyone in favor or against?
At this time, I do not see any members of the public wishing to speak in favor or in opposition.
All right, thank you. We'll close the public hearing portion and bring it back to council members. Any thoughts, comments?
Motion to send to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice President Niskoski and a second by President Lee. Clerk Torado, can you please do a roll call vote on that favorable motion?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. That bill will also go to third reading with a favorable recommendation. At this time, I would entertain a motion to rise from the committee of the whole.
So moved.
Second.
We've got some motions and seconds. All those in favor of those motions and seconds signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Committee of the whole is now adjourned.
Bills on third reading. The full council is now back in session, and this is the portion of our meeting where bills are given a third reading and action is taken regarding the bills that were heard during the committee of the whole. Clerk Toronto, would you please give Bill 0726 a third reading?
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana to vacate the following described property. The First East-West Alley north of Rice between Elmer and the First North-South Alley west of Elmer.
Councilor Warner, is there a recommendation from the committee of the whole?
Committee of the whole sends the bill with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion.
Move for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and there's been a motion and a second. I will now, Clerk Toronto, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
0726 passes. Clerk Toronto, would you please give 0926 a third reading?
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana for budget transfers for various departments within the City of South Bend, Indiana for year 2026.
Councilor Warner, is there a recommendation?
The bill comes with a favorable recommendation.
All right, there, I will now entertain a motion.
Move for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
0926 passes. Clerk Toronto, would you please give Bill 1026 a third reading?
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating additional funds for certain departmental and city services operations for the year 2026 of $976,000 from the General Fund Number 101, $150,000 from the Parks and Recreation Fund Number 201, $465,000 from the Motor Vehicles Highway Fund Number 202, $500,000 from the Community Investment Operations Fund Number 211, $50,000 from the Gift Donation Bequest Fund Number 217, $114,300 from the Law Enforcement Continuing Education Fund Number 220, $2,750 from the Central Services Fund Number 222, $21,099 from the IT Innovation 311 Call Center Fund Number 279, $296,600 from the Police Federal Drug Enforcement Fund Number 299, $2,150,000 from the local police. I'm sorry.
Local income.
I think I missed something. $296,600 from the Police Federal Drug Enforcement Fund Number 299, $2,150,000 from the Local Income Tax Economic Development Fund Number 408, $1,100,000 from the Professional Sports Convention Development Area Fund Number 413, $3,800,000 from the Waterworks Capital Fund Number 622, $20,000 from the Sewage Works Operations Fund Number 641, $600,000 from the Storm Sewer Fund Number 667, $71,265 from the Century Center Operations Fund Number 670, and $5,000 from the Self-Funded Employee Benefits Fund Number 711.
Thank you. And this was a substitute bill. Counselor Warner, is there a recommendation?
Substitute Bill 1026 receives a favorable recommendation from the Committee of the Whole.
I will now entertain a motion.
Passage. Second.
There's been a motion in the packet. Pat it up. There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, would you please call the roll? Been a long day.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
1026 passes. Clerk Toronto, please give substitute bill 1126 a third reading.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, authorizing payments in lieu of taxes for Heritage Trails South Bend LP.
Counselor Warner, is there a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole?
Committee of the Whole sends the bill regarding the pilot for Heritage Trails forward with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion.
Move for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
12-26 has passed. Clerk Toronto, please give 13-26 a third reading.
I did not read 1226.
I'm so sorry.
1126.
1126 is passed. Now give 1226 a third reading.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, establishing certain boundaries for South Bend Utilities to furnish waters and sewage service to the public.
Counselor Warner, is there a recommendation?
The bill is establishing certain boundaries for South Bend Utilities, comes with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion.
Second.
What was that?
Here.
Move for
Here.
second.
I couldn't get it out. Let someone, I was trying.
Moved it.
I would let someone else go. I was trying to get out the motion, but I'll try to get it next go around.
Move passage.
It's your motion.
it.
Yeah, we don't have a motion yet. We just have a second.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I did have a motion.
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure I got the right one. I would like to make a motion for the passage of Bill 12-26 with a favorable. Second.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, we got a second. All right. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
1226 is passed. Clerk Toronto, please give 1326 a third reading.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 911 Logan Street, Councilmanic District Number 3 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
All right. Counselor Warner, is there a recommendation?
The zoning bill 1326 comes with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion.
Move for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Warner. Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
13-26 is passed. Resolutions. This is the portion of the council's meetings where the council hears bills filed as proposed resolutions. The title of each proposed resolution is read by the city clerk. A report from the committee chairperson of the standing committee to which the bill was referred to and for an advisory review and recommendation is then given. During the public portion of each proposed resolutions, members of the public are invited to address the council. We ask that you please give your name, address, and comments of the bill. If you have any questions, they will be addressed by the presenters during their rebuttal, and each member of the public is limited to 5 minutes, with those speaking in favor going first, followed by those in opposition, then a 5-minute rebuttal for the presenter. Clerk Toronto, would you please give Resolution 2609 a reading?
A resolution of the South Bend Common Council approving the interlocal agreement between the City of South Bend, the County of St. Joseph, and the Michiana Area Council of Governments establishing a land bank pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-38 ETSEQ.
All right, Councilor Warner had to step out. Okay, Vice Chair, Vice President Niskoski, would you please give a committee report?
Yes, Councilmember Warner heard Bill 2609 today in committee and was given a favorable recommendation to the full council.
All right, our petitioner standing before us, if you would please give your name and address and your presentation.
Joe Molnar, Deputy Director of Community Investment. The office is on the 5th floor of City Hall, here to present the resolution approving the interlocal agreement for the creation of a regional land bank. I know the majority of council members saw this presentation earlier, but for the benefit of the public, we will run through it. I'll try to be perhaps a little more brief than at our 4 o'clock meeting. But you can't really understand why the city needs a land bank and why St. Joseph County as a whole needs a land bank if you don't understand this chart. This is a chart of the South Bend's population history dating from 1840 to 2010. And as you see, starting in 1960, the city saw a steady decline in population for half a century, leading to over 30,000 people leaving the city and the population declining from 133,000 to just over 100,000. Now, we do have the 2020 census since then, and we did see an uptick, but the majority of the vacant properties that we see today in our neighborhoods are a result of that 50 years of decline. And also the result of many of the blighted properties that we're dealing with, as well as some were abandoned with time. So what does losing 30,000 people look like on the ground level where people are actually living in the neighborhoods? On the left is an image from 1998, so already 3 decades into that population decline. And on the right is an image from 2015, kind of at the very bottom of where a lot of these neighborhoods were population-wise. As you can see, a large decrease in housing and a very large increase in the frequency of vacant lots scattered through the city neighborhoods. I could have picked many different blocks to illustrate this, but this is just illustrative of an issue that many different neighborhoods have experienced in the course of South Bend over the last half century. So during that time, really after the Great Recession and the housing crisis that came out of it, the city worked with a strategy of how we were going to address the vacant and abandoned properties that were really concentrated heavily on the west side of the city, the northwest side, as well as heavily concentrated in the southeast, and then scattered throughout the properties, blighted and vacant, scattered across the whole city, blighted and vacant properties. The city formed a task force of which many city and community members worked together to see how could we address this issue of vacant properties back in 2013, which culminated in the vacant and abandoned housing report, of which that image on the left came out of, which really shows the high concentration of issues that we were dealing with as a city. I know many of the council members might have even participated with that back then. And so out of that vacant housing task force was what can the city do to start addressing this issue? So starting in the early 2010s, South Bend began the strategy of an unofficial land bank. At the time, state law was very restrictive on land banks and really limited their usefulness. For a while, only Marion County could have a land bank. And then even when they opened it up statewide, the rules as were such were pretty toothless, and so the land bank would not have had much authority. Those laws have subsequently changed, which we'll get to in a moment. But at the time, since there was no official land bank that the city could help form to really handle this issue of vacant and abandoned properties, the city took it upon itself and acquired over a few years 600 plus vacant lots via the tax sale process as a partnership with the St. Joseph County Board of Commissioners. The city has leveraged that land successfully and really showed what can happen when you get control of these vacant properties and get them out of the tax cycle loop. For example, last year, 187 new homes were permitted in the city of South Bend, the highest number in decades. And over 100 of those permits were on land that the city had acquired through this tax sale process. That spanned multiple partners, from community groups locally to bigger groups from downstate. And we're really seeing a lot of good momentum in getting these vacant properties activated again and back on the tax rolls. But there's still so much work to do on this front. So we are having still to deal with the issues of vacant properties and blighted properties in the city, but also now we're having an issue that we really weren't having back when that task force was assembled. Since COVID, we've seen, the dramatic increase in rising home values and the need for affordable housing really across the city. So now we're dealing with both of these dual issues, both of blighted and abandoned properties, as well as demand for new housing. Land control really is the first barrier in development. Even if you take out the cost of the land, which sometimes isn't actually that inhibitive in the city of South Bend, trying to get access to buildable vacant lots can be very challenging, especially if they're tied up with lien situations on the tax deed. If you have owners who don't want to activate them and just want to sit on them long term, it's very difficult to build new housing unless you get land control out of bad actors and into good actors' hands. And as a region, we know that we need new housing units, both to keep the population that we have here in good, stable, quality housing, as well as attract new residents into the city and attract new employers as well, who want to come to a community with a stable population and a good housing stock. So as I said, there's been discussions on the land bank for some time. However, in 2021, when the state did make changes to that land bank statutes, that really opened the door for should St. Joseph County and the city of South Bend start a land bank. Those legislation changes in 2021 allowed it to make it easier for land banks to acquire the blighted property. It strengthened their tools to acquire them. It required counties to share the list of distressed properties with the land banks. Before that change, they really kind of were toothless organizations. Now they can really have a stake in their communities. So when those changes occurred, the city began analyzing this more, again, with a lot of community partners. After that legislation changed, multiple community organizations started studying this issue. Again, I know many council members served on some of the committees that were formed. The civic leaders, as well as the city of South Bend staff, started analyzing this and had an affordable housing task force. Out of that came a Center for Community Progress study with a very cleverly titled name, Establishing a Land Bank in South Bend and St. Joseph County, which was kind of the roadmap for why this would be beneficial for the city as a whole. So what is a land bank? Well, very briefly, it's a nonprofit solely created to acquire, hold, manage, and then repurpose and sell back out vacant and abandoned properties to stabilize the neighborhoods and get those non-tax paying and non-productive and properties that are really a drag on our community, get them into better hands so that they can become a value add to the city as a whole, as well as they help streamline property disposition by clearing title, addressing back taxes, and sometimes renovation of the property itself to make sure that these properties are safe moving forward. But the city has seen success doing kind of the unofficial land bank style in-house. Why should we pivot from that to a more general formal land bank option? Well, while the current process has had success, it's really trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. The city is not designed to do one-off small little sales of one property at a time. That leads to issues with the state has pretty strict regulations of how the city, specifically the Board of Public Works, can sell property. So even when the city would acquire some of these land, if we wanted to do a one-off sale with somebody so that they could buy the lot next to them or buy a house to renovate, we have to sell to the highest bidder when it goes through the Board of Public Works, even if they might not be the most responsible owner going forward. Someone with a way better plan, with way better funding in line, if they had a lower bidding price, the state law says we have to get to the highest bidder. So the city's really not structured well to be able to do some of these one property at a time deals. With the land bank has more flexibility and can really look at the big picture for the property, what is best for the neighborhood, what's best for the community for that specific lot, where the city has regulations on it that limit that. The land bank also has legal status to get tax sale property directly from the county once it's been through that tax sale process once. The city, every single time we ever want property from the tax sale, we have to start new negotiations with the Board of Commissioners of St. Joseph County and start the process all over again. So it's really a stutter step process. Obviously, Board of Commissioners come and go, city staff come and go. And so when you lose those relationships, it really bogs down the process. For example, when the city was trying to acquire South Bend Range, that took 18 months of negotiation and working through. While the land bank, it'll be built into their systems that they can get the properties faster. The county is a party to the agreement, so they have stake in the matter as well, where they don't now, where it's just two entities talking to each other. As I said, the land bank's also better set up for disposition of smaller scale properties, and the land bank is better suited for the rehab of existing housing stock. The city is not a very good tool to help rehab individual properties, individual houses, especially because if the city ever even did find a way to bid out the work to repair one house, selling that house would lead to a lot of issues. Why is the city selling to this person and not me? And really puts the city in a tough situation that we don't want to be in, while the land bank would be designed to handle those conversations better. And the land bank can help the city get larger, more complicated blighted properties faster. As I said, the South Bend Range property is a great example. That took so long for the city to get ownership. Now, if we have a partner like the land bank, if we tell them, hey, you might not want to hold that because that's too large of a property and you're not really looking at industrial blight, but the city would love that, property to help clean it up. Can you help us? And they can help get that transfer going to them and then to the city much faster than if we're doing it in the traditional way. There's also a cost to these vacant lots that are just sitting in the tax sale and no one is claiming ownership of them. There are over 300 properties on the continuous enforcement list, of which the neighborhood services team goes and regularly mows and maintains those lots, knowing that the property has essentially been abandoned by the owner. Every time we can get one of those lots out of that list and into the hand of a responsible owner who's doing the maintenance themselves, that is a big win for the city long term, as well as for the community, knowing that there's locals who are paying attention to their properties. So why do we need the land bank? I've mentioned most of these before, but really lack of available land stands in the way of redevelopment. If we want to build back our neighborhoods, if we want to restore some of these blighted properties, getting control of them is the very first step to do so. There's also the issue of sometimes an owner passes away or there's a legal issue and a property really just gets lost and no one claims responsibility for it. It racks up its 2 years worth of unpaid taxes, goes to the tax sale. No one wants to pay that price for it, and it'll just sit there until either the city or some other outside actor comes in and addresses it. This allows us to get right to that issue at the stake. Most developers, unless the land value is extremely high, are not going to go through the effort of hiring the lawyer, getting the property, spending 18 to 24 months without a guarantee at the end that you'll actually get the property. So really, a land bank is perfectly suited to fill that need. It would also be able to create a consistent inventory of development-ready lots. My office gets a lot of calls every day saying, hey, I just want to build one house. Do you have a property for me? But as I've explained, the city, it's very difficult for us to sell one lot to somebody without putting it up to public bid. We can't guarantee, even if they're the ones who want it, that they're the ones who'd be able to get it. The land bank would be able to have inventory ready, so if they get those calls, they can much quicker answer those questions. We'd be able to decrease the number of vacant deteriorating properties and alleviate the ongoing maintenance cost happening from them. We estimate, the community progress study estimated about $3,000 per year each vacant lot costs the city if it's been abandoned. And it also, as I said, provides that off-ramp for the tax sale loop and would allow the land bank to establish relationships with local developers and small developers who really want to do those smaller projects that are a little more challenging for the city to comprehend. So what would the land bank do as a whole? First, acquire vacant and abandoned properties and then be able to stabilize and maintain them while they owned them in the interim. Start maintain if there's a structure on it, make sure that it's secured, make sure that no one's being able to get into it. If it's just a vacant lot, make sure if there's debris on it, it's being cleared, it's being mowed, it's being cared for by someone locally. We have a lot of these tax sale properties as they sit in the loop. They're owned by LLCs that we actually don't know who is behind the LLC or overseas. This would be a locally controlled land bank who see these properties every day. They would be able to hold the properties and to market them for reuse and redevelopment, vet potential buyers to make sure that what they want to do is the best for the land going forward, not just what's the quickest buck off the property, and ensure lots sold for redevelopment remain in compliance with the land bank. As mentioned earlier, if they enter in an agreement with the land bank to fix up the house or to build a house or to even just to put a fence up and maintain the lot, if they fail to meet some of those agreement requirements, the land bank can actually take the property back and try to find a better owner suited for the property. I think the impact of this legislation would really be the reduced administrative costs from a neighborhood services and code enforcement standpoint, as well as starting to reduce this huge backlog of tax sale properties, which would eventually strengthen our neighborhoods. No one wants to live next to a property that's blighted. No one wants to live next to a lot that no one's paying attention to and is known as the dumping ground of the neighborhood. Really eliminating each and every one of those lots one at a time is a benefit for all the community going forward. So just very briefly, this is the current tax sale process as it works. You can see many different steps included. There's a lot of time essentially between you have to not pay your taxes for multiple tax period cycles. So that's a number of time. Goes to tax certificate sale. If it's not sold, waits 5 to 6 months, goes to commissioner sale. If not sold, it just keeps circling back in. Even if it is sold, if the potential buyer does not redeem it, it goes back. There's many loop portions where the property immediately just goes back to the start and we're stuck, and then we have to wait all over again if the city wants to try to get it. Under a proposed land bank process, we'd still have that tax sale process. This would not change it. As a property owner, you still have your full rights to your property. It's not as if the city or the land bank can come take that property at any time or anything like that. It's just if you don't pay your property taxes and it goes through the first tax sale cycle, then the land bank has the opportunity right then to request it from the county. So more of a linear progression that ends that constant circle. So the actual agreement before you, the commitments that the city and county and MACOG are making, both the city and the county would have 3 appointments each on the board that governs the land bank, and MACOG would have the final 1 appointment, making a 7-person governing board. The city is pledging to provide $500,000 in upfront startup costs and $300,000 annually for the first 4 years. This would help maintain the properties that they would acquire the first go around before they're able to get a big inventory and start making those sales, as well as some of the administrative costs. The county has pledged to provide certain tax sales certificates and provide the lists to the land bank up front so that they can be very proactive in the properties they're looking for, as well as do a lot of the legal work of transferring the ownership from the county or from transferring the tax sale certificate into the land bank's name. And then MACOG would provide staff for the operations of the land bank. The county council approved a few weeks ago the approval of their resolution authorizing the county commissioners to sign the agreement, of which both parties have done so. So the county government has fully signed on to the land bank. We've seen very large community support from a number of institutions listed here. I'll just name a few: Near Northwest Neighborhood Inc., University of Notre Dame, South Bend Regional Chamber, Community Foundation of St. Joseph County, and many others. There were a number of letters submitted in support from community members, and those have been shared with council as well. And then finally, one of the really exciting things I think this is setting up this land bank for success long term is that MACOG and the Community Foundation have been given a Lilly endowment to help establish funds that can be used for this land bank. So $1 million of that Lilly Foundation funding will support ongoing operations and maintenance of properties and help getting those first cycles going. Additionally, $3 million of that Lilly Foundation funding has been placed in an endowment. And after the first 5 years, as that endowment grows, then the annual interest is estimated to generate a little over $200,000, which will partially support staffing and operations for the land bank. And hopefully, if it's well managed over time, that endowment will just keep growing, which will provide more revenue for the land bank to use off the interest to continue to reinvest that money back into South Bend and St. Joseph County. A really innovative way to take one-time investment of cash from the Lilly Foundation and keep it here locally and keep it recycling locally. The Community Foundation of St. Joseph County will help manage that fund. Like I said, in total, $4 million of those Lilly Foundation funds will be leveraged locally to address vacant and blighted properties long-term, really setting up the program to succeed. So the key powers, as I mentioned, ability to extinguish liens and clear title, acquire tax foreclosed property, hold property tax exempt while they're moving it to its next phase. Disposition decisions are flexible and not driven by the highest price, but the best outcome. But the land bank will still be very accountable to the public, considering 6/7 of its board is appointed by political agencies between the county and the city, really making sure if there's something crazy going on with the land bank, there's direct impact that the city and county can do to fix any issues that they see. So key takeaways on the proposal: improves upon existing ad hoc city process for unofficial land banking that we've been doing over the last few years. It fulfills a 10+ year decade community push for a local land bank. Many different people have worked on this over the years. I'm standing here, but there's 50 other people who could have stood here over the process and given a presentation like this. It provides a path forward for long-term blighted projects and properties that is currently unavailable. Currently, we do not have this tool in St. Joseph County. Leverages $4 million in Lilly Foundation money locally and keeps that money long-term in the area. And it establishes a long-standing partnership between the city of South Bend, the county of St. Joseph County, and MACOG to address blight, vacant, and abandoned properties, which again, that partnership is not formalized currently. So this would be a good long step forward to make sure that we're all rowing in the same direction. And I said, this is the culmination of a lot of work from a variety of community members who have been trying to get this established for some time. And we're really grateful for all their work and any work the council members who've worked on this as well. A couple representatives from MACOG are here who can speak to anything I missed or any questions that you might have.
All right. James and crew, if you would like to add a few comments to it.
Good evening, council members. James Turnwald with the Michiana Area Council of Governments. Our offices are on the 11th floor of the county building, just here in downtown South Bend. MACOG, if you're not familiar, I know I didn't cover that at committee, but we were created in 1970 and we have served this region over the last 55 years, serving Elkhart, St. Joe, Marshall, and Kosciuszko counties. And we are a collective of our local governments who have voluntarily chosen to form us to work on regional issues. And so we provide the city with a variety of services, whether it's working on brownfields and providing environmental assessments, or working with Transpo to figure out technical planning for routes, whether it is for roads and bridges and trails, or in this case, housing and vacant and abandoned properties. The land bank will serve as an off-ramp that will provide a predictable and smooth and straightforward process for vacant and abandoned properties to get back into a taxable reuse and to be a positive neighbor. I'd like to introduce Lisa Slomka, our Director of the Regional Housing Collaborative.
Hello, my name is Lisa Slomka. As James said, our offices are on the 11th floor of the county building. I would be happy to answer any questions you guys have about the land bank, especially any process or technical questions. This is an initiative that I care very deeply about. I know that a few years ago, my parents helped me with purchasing my house, and I know that without that assistance, I wouldn't be able to have it. And so I look forward to the ability to provide assistance to people in attaining housing in our region.
Thank you. Bob, I do want to say as a disclosure, I am on the MACOG policy board. So I just wanted to disclose that.
Okay. That does not pose a problem.
Okay. Just want to make sure. All right. At this time, any questions from council members? Councilwoman Rachel Thomas Morgan.
Thank you, President Lee. Thank you so much for your presentation. I know this is a really exciting day. I know a number of us on this council have been in deep conversations with the administration and community investment about this. Councilwoman Karen White has been working on this long before any of us. And so just really grateful to the staff to bring this to where we are today and help us get this across the finish line. There are two things. One is in the county, there was a slight delay, no concern really, but just wondering if there was anything, if that was mainly just for the need for more information, or were there concerns that they had?
I think largely, while folks here in the city of South Bend, especially say council members that are really intimately familiar with this, a number of the county council folks maybe were not as familiar with the topic, or are newer council members that have not necessarily been around as long. And so part of it was an education and making sure that they fully understood what this tool was. While it feels innovative, perhaps here, there are 350 of these land banks across the entire country. And so really just kind of getting them more familiar with that. Additionally, with Senate Bill 1, I think all local governments are continually assessing what they financially can and cannot afford in future years. And so I think there was just a question from the St. Joe County Council regarding what they may be able to contribute and how they wanted to word that when it came to, say, legal services, because we will go through a process of clearing these titles for these properties, and that often involves a quiet title action, that involves postings. And so we were asking for some voluntary kind of contributions from them for that. And so there were some financial questions, but we are proud to say that it was a almost unanimous decision, 8-1 from the county council, as well as then a 3-0 from the commissioners. And the great thing about it is we had 3 public hearings from the county council side. And at every one of those public hearings, there was only folks speaking in support of this resolution. And so there's really been a general kind of consensus building that is very positive. So it was, while minor delays, it was a generally positive experience.
Thank you for that. I just thought if, for those who may not have been following that closely, that this is important for us to hear. And then a question that came to me as you were speaking today, Mr. Molnar, is what does that, while the Housing Collaborative with Ms. Slomka will be managing the land bank, what does the coordination or collaboration look like with the land bank and city staff, or other staff in municipalities across the county?
Yeah, and Lisa and James can add too. I think, this is a new thing, so we're going to learn as we go a little bit, as the land bank gets up and running, gets staffed up. We've already had preliminary discussions about what are some city properties held by the Board of Public Works that really, again, make more sense to be in some form of land bank. So I think we'll constantly be in dialogue. I think, this is going to have to be a very close relationship between the city and the land bank, as we're working through neighborhood plans, or if we're working on, park projects, making sure that we're queuing in the land bank to those projects that are happening so that they can really focus their efforts and to make sure we can, become greater than the sum of our parts. So I think there's going to be very close coordination between the land bank and the city, especially in the very first few years as they get up and running, and making sure that they're addressing the properties that the community wants to see addressed, as well as taking on only so much that they can at their beginning, because they are going to be a brand new organization.
Great. Thank you so much for that assurance. And we have passed 6 neighborhood plans. And so just that coordination is going to be really key moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah. We asked a lot of questions during committee, so and they were answered very well. But if there's any other, if not, I'll go to the public hearing portion. Clerk Toronto, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor or opposition, either in chambers or online? Oh, we see we have someone here in the chambers.
flesh, yes.
There
Good
you go.
evening, Council. Aaron Perry, Vice President of Community Impact at the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County. Offices are at 301 South Michigan. As you heard, this has been worked on for more than a decade with dozens of community partners, and we're one of them. A few years ago, we had an opportunity to apply to the Lilly Endowment for really any major community pressing opportunity or issue. We chose affordable housing as the one to go after. We know that impacts every single one of our neighborhoods in a big way. What you see before you is an opportunity to not only address blight, but also move affordable housing as more of a realistic opportunity for our neighbors. The Community Foundation was proud to be involved as an organizing agency, as somebody to provide some initial operational support. And then, of course, we'll maintain the enduring endowment. I know sustainability becomes a question in topics like this, and that's why we were proud to establish that endowment for the long run. So thank you for your support of this effort.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in chambers, or is there anyone online?
I do not see anyone additional in the chambers or online wishing to speak in favor or in opposition at this time.
Is there in the chambers or online wishing to speak in opposition?
There is no one additional in the chambers or online wishing to speak in opposition.
At this moment, the public hearing portion is closed. I will now, council members, do you want to make any statements? If not, I will now entertain a motion.
Move for adoption.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Resolution 2609 has been adopted. Clerk Toronto, would you give 2610 a reading?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, establishing a local fund pursuant to Indiana Code Section 5-20-5-15.5.
All right, is there a committee report?
This comes from the Community Investment Committee this afternoon and is tied to the Heritage Trails product, which both received favorable recommendations.
All right, petitioner, we ask that you state your name and address for the record.
Eric Glavich, Director of Growth and Opportunity, offices on the 5th floor of this building. Thank you, council members. I know it's been a lot to talk about. I'll be brief. Earlier, council considered and adopted an ordinance and that included a pilot agreement. So payments in lieu of taxes. So this property owner will be paying taxes directly to the city instead of through the county mechanism, as most. Indiana code requires that those funds brought in through pilot agreement be basically stored in what's called an affordable housing fund. The city does not have one. It's basically just an accounting mechanism. There needs to be a place for these revenue dollars to go into. This resolution would establish that fund called the Affordable Housing Fund for the City of South Bend. Through this resolution, the Department of Community Investment would have administrative abilities over this fund, and state code establishes what the funds can be used for. We talked about a little bit about this earlier, so it has to be any expenditure out of this fund has to be used to support affordable housing, primarily households at or below the 80% AMI. Ways that we can support affordable housing include direct financial assistance to residents or developers, focus on affordable housing. Funds can be used for things like technical assistance or education classes, infrastructure improvements. But the last group is administrative expenses related to the fund. So even though they say it has to fit within one of these 4 categories, those categories are pretty broad in terms of what we can use them for. It just has to support affordable housing.
All right, thank you. Any questions? We talked a lot about this in committee, so we'll now go to the public hearing portion. Clerk Toronto, is there anyone wishing to speak in favor?
There is no one from the public wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Is there anyone looking to speak in opposition?
There is no one in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
At this time, the public hearing portion is closed. Are there any comments from council members? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Pass. Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Good Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski,
Aye.
President Lee,
Aye.
9 ayes.
2610 has been adopted. All right, this is what we've been waiting on. 2608, the resolution for the Common Council of the City of South Bend approving the adopting the
President
downtown
Lee.
that I'm going to ask Clerk Toronto to read.
Yeah.
Can I read?
Yes, ma'am, please do.
Thank you. A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving and adopting the Downtown 2045 Plan.
Thank you, and you did it so much better than I could. Is there a committee report? Committee report?
Yeah, this came with a favorable recommendation from the Community Investment Committee this afternoon.
All right, petitioners here, we ask that you state your name and address for the record and give us this wonderful report.
I'm just doing the intro. Brian Killen, zoning administrator, 5th floor, City Hall. The downtown plan, which would, if approved, will formally amend the city's comprehensive plan from 2006. It was heard in public hearing by the Plan Commission and was approved and adopted through their resolution process. It comes to you and was approved, given a favorable recommendation by the Zoning and Annexation Committee. So comes to you here to be presented by Tim.
All right, thank you, Tim, and you did a great job presenting it in 30 minutes.
Not this time. Tim Corcoran, Director of Planning with the City of South Bend on the 5th floor of this building. So yes, this morning or this afternoon, you heard an abbreviated version of this, but this is a more comprehensive version of the plan. I will try to get through it as quickly as I can, and I appreciate the time. So just an overview of the plan content. There's in the document, you'll find a history of downtown, the planning context, and the engagement process and development principles, an analysis of our development pattern, our economic and market analysis, parking analysis, and then the vision. This is really the heart of the plan. This is the images. These are the ideas that were formulated through that engagement process. A built form and design standards includes design guidance, zoning, and other things, historic preservation, and an implementation matrix. So what is the plan? Every time we do one of these plans, I like to put this up so that we kind of set what a plan is and what we're doing here. So the downtown plan is a shared statement developed through a community engagement process about the desired long-term future for the planning area and a strategy to reach the goals of the plan. So why did we decide to do a downtown plan starting in 2024? Well, one of the biggest reasons is that there was roughly $1 billion of new investment that was in progress at that time, and they were kind of in the early planning stages. And Notre Dame was starting to think about their project downtown, and through these conversations, we thought we really need to figure out a way to coordinate this development and figure out how do we capitalize on that $1 billion investment to get our next $2 billion investment. We'd done over 13 neighborhood plans across the city, and this plan would serve as a 20-year vision for what downtown could be. Some of the planning context, this shows the neighborhood plans surrounding downtown and some of the overlap with that with the downtown boundary area or the planning area. These are some of the examples of that $1 billion of investment in 2024. And these are where they're located. So this is really spread out across the city too, that this investment was in downtown from Leaper Park all the way through the Renaissance District south of the railroad tracks. But also, I think thinking bigger is what we really started to ask ourselves the question, like, why not think of ourselves more as the center of a region that is north central Indiana, southwest Michigan, and how can we really capitalize on this environment to really grow, expand, and think about the way we see ourselves as being this sort of important part of our broader region. We do know people travel 45 minutes to an hour almost every day to work in South Bend, and how can we capture that to really build our community up? All plans start with an engagement process. And in January 2024, we started stakeholder meetings. We conducted over 23 virtual and in-person meetings, meeting with everybody who would talk to us, neighborhood associations, community nonprofits, faith-based institutions, businesses, city departments, and city council representatives. Our kickoff was with a speaker event from Casey Steinbacher. She is the head of the equivalent of downtown South Bend, but for Durham, North Carolina. You know, one of her key takeaways is that you really have to plan for success. Durham did not do that. They were very successful, but now they're trying to figure out how to get affordable housing in their community and try to retrofit that in. And I think one of the things that I'm happy about with our process is we've actually been leading a lot of this with affordable housing in our downtown and other areas. And that successful plans implement these visions, and that you know, downtown is our living room, and we have to think about that as it's our living room for all of South Bend. So these visioning workshops were held, and we asked people a series of questions. We had many participants and a lot of ideas generated through these visioning workshops that culminated in the creation of these 9 development principles. Activating the riverfront was by far the #1 thing that people talked about. Expanding housing options. This is something, I mean, our department talks about every day, all the time. Anchoring downtown with jobs and people, creating a safe and inclusive place for everyone, creating vibrant public places, building comfortable and accessible connections, grow and support local businesses, embrace sustainable practices, and support and leverage our arts and culture. It was with those development principles that we came into Design Week, and using those development principles to help develop the ideas and articulate words into drawings and a vision. And it's provided another opportunity for the community to weigh in on the direction of the plan. So again, we had a recap presentation, a midweek pinup, and a final presentation. It was a really fun week, multiple design teams generating lots of ideas and putting them up. That became the draft of this plan. 3 kind of high priority themes emerged, kind of focusing out of those 9 for the core of downtown. Really, that activation of the riverfront, housing, and creating vibrant public places really stood out. Following that, we developed a draft plan. We presented that draft plan at multiple open houses, in which we also continue to have stakeholder engagement after those open houses to continuously evolve the plan. And so here we are at the end of the project timeline, and looking forward to the implementation of many parts of this plan. So the plan is underpinned by a couple major studies, and the first one is this market analysis, and some key takeaways of that are that there is a demand for rental apartments and for sale townhomes in downtown. There is demand for a grocer, full-scale, full-line grocery store and restaurants, and there's a demand for new hotels. And what's really interesting about this analysis is that in our design week, as the designers are drawing buildings and they're quantifying how much floor space those buildings equate to, when we received the market analysis, we were only a few thousand square feet off of what the market analysis was suggesting. And so all of that analysis is actually tied to these drawings. Every building in yellow is an example of a new building. All the buildings in the sort of salmon pink color are an existing building that we're looking to adaptively reuse. But we quantified all that data, and we found that the economic analysis and the built form that we're proposing were very closely matched. So what it means is that that our plan is very realistic given the economic indicators that were looked at in those reports. Secondly, we did a parking analysis to find that we have a lot of parking in downtown, and at peak times at 10 a.m., downtown parking is only 46% occupied on average. There are a few hot spots around the city where that number jumps up to about 80%, but on balance, we have a lot of parking and it's underutilized. So what does that mean? It means that these are all great places to think about where redevelopment can happen, where new buildings can happen, where we can create that vibrancy that we're looking for. Buildings pay taxes and parking lots don't. So I think we really want to, this is a great asset for our community to build upon. So transforming downtown. So out of all the key principles for the downtown is reinvigorating the heart, drawing jobs and people, adding housing diversity, and creating that world-class open space system. And it kind of culminates in these different types of vision projects: in the heart of downtown, neighborhood nodes, innovation and institutional catalysts, and public realm enhancements. And so the way to sort of kind of try to articulate all the ideas that are in this plan is that we're going to take a virtual walk through South Bend, starting on the north side at Leaper Park and working our way south to the Renaissance District. So north downtown, or downtown north. A few projects that are ideas in this: the Beacon Health District, Downtown North Neighborhoods, and the Tech and Talent District. And one of the major principles here is this idea of anchoring downtown with jobs and people. So what's great about this image is that upper right picture is a rendering of what the building is going to look like, but you can drive down the street, you can see it looks pretty much like what they drew here. And this is one of the themes throughout this presentation, is that a lot of these ideas, they were ideas when we started this, and these ideas are coming to fruition. Beacon is looking to hire approximately 300 new employees in this area, so that those employees really will help in our downtown. This is the Madison Lifestyle District, just south of that, the next block south, a hotel and a wrapped parking garage with retail and residential. And the block further south, this is what it looks like today. We've got the Burger King, mostly parking. This is LaSalle and Main Street, what it looks like today. What it could look like tomorrow. This is possibly a great spot for that full-line grocery store, and that's what this image articulates, and how you could build above that in a very urban way so that you could have a very walkable but also accessible by cars as well, in a spot in downtown that really is very underutilized at the moment. And we can have another Burger King in here too, if everybody really likes that Burger King. The Tech and Talent Innovation District. So this is the name we came up with during the plan. It's got a real name now called Colfax Corner. And this is the investment that Notre Dame has been making in our downtown. And they're looking at approximately 400 jobs moving into this area. And they're right now permitting the renovations of the Tribune building and the new building on Main Street. So again, an idea that is now coming to fruition 2 years later. So between these two things, we're talking about 700 jobs anchoring the north side of downtown. This is a great boost for us. This is what it looks like. This is what it's potentially going to look like. The heart of downtown. So a few ideas for the heart of downtown. This is really the core, probably the part that people really consider to be the core part of downtown. So John Hunt Plaza, Michigan Street, a town square, Century Center, and Jefferson Boulevard, and a big idea for a future signature riverfront park. Starting at John Hunt Plaza, we think that this is a great space, but highly underutilized in terms of the plaza space and the grass. How can we elevate this space to be more utilized? Again, we show an image of what the Racklin Murphy Encore Center could look like, and you can now drive and go inside, drive to it, walk to it, go inside, and you can see it in reality. But how do we really activate the space in front of that? So some ideas here are formally closing Michigan Avenue that currently you can drive in front of there. for drop-offs, potentially additional restaurant space to help enclose the space, elevating the lawn slightly, thinking about how we take out that hill that goes down towards MLK, elevating it up, flattening it out so that it could be a lot more usable. Think about like how kids could use the space, but right now it's a little bit dangerous because you can just run right into MLK Avenue Boulevard, and it's a little dangerous to do that. So really looking at how we can elevate this area to be more usable all the time. Michigan Street really is the focus of reactivating and improving the retail environment in South Bend's historical retail street. Looking at storefront improvements, improvements to City Center Place, State Theater, for instance. Again, another rendering of a building that you can go and see. The fake facade's been pulled off, and the restoration of that building is amazing. A town square. So looking at how we can utilize the gridiron to create an active public square that can become that living room for downtown. This is what it looks like today. We have a lot of great events, and DTSB does a great job of programming the space at different times of the year. But I think Willow told me there's like one electric plug out there to plug in all the lights for Christmas trees. And when Santa comes, there's not a lot of power. So they're limited in what they can do. And so looking at ways that we can change that. One way, potentially renovating the existing Hall of Fame building and adding on, let's say, like a porch-like element that could create an indoor-outdoor space to help activate a new town square. Looking at how we could fill in some of the vacant land around that, maybe even activate the ground floor of the First Source Center and the parking lot in the Everwise site to really enclose this area to really create that hub of activity. But it could also be this. And I think one of the things I want to point out is that all the drawings that we show in here, these are ideas. These ideas can be developed in different ways. And this is just one example of how we show this site could be developed in different ways. This is a bespoke new building showing like a food hall type environment that could be that one spot that you have friends or family come to South Bend and they say, where should I go? And like what we want people to think about is this area, but we could even go bigger. And this is a hotel that goes on top of that food hall. And so there's different ways that all of this could come to fruition. So Century Center and Jefferson. So there's a couple ideas in this area, realigning Jefferson Boulevard, the addition of some pre-function space along Jefferson for the Century Center, entry foyer, and a potential new parking deck and hotel/ballroom to support Century Center events in the current parking lot. This is what the Century Center looks like today at the kind of corner of where Jefferson Boulevard used to go and MLK Boulevard, and looking at utilizing some of that space between the blank wall and the street for some pre-function space. This is an idea of what it could look like, looking at how we can utilize this space to maximize other spaces within the Century Center to be optimized for events and conferences. Jefferson Boulevard today. So this S-curve was put in kind of as part of a traffic moving scheme that included MLK Boulevard that didn't exist at one point in time. And while it does move traffic a little bit faster, it does disconnect the downtown from the East Bank. One of the things that has been really successful in Howard Park and the shops and the restaurants on Jefferson Boulevard and East Bank, but the connection between downtown and these areas is really broken by the parking lot here. This is what it could look like tomorrow, really taking that road straight through again. Building up that hotel is kind of off in the distance here, in this area right here that we talked about in that parking garage, and how that hotel and maybe banquet space could be complementary to the Century Center is the objective there, and the parking deck would replace the parking that currently exists there. And one idea for the Century Center is this idea for a signature riverfront park. And this kind of goes with that activation of the riverfront theme and development principle that I spoke about earlier. So some urban design principles here. If we're looking to activate Michigan Street and to be that retail heart of downtown, and we are thinking about how that town square can be developed at the Gridiron, what we have is Washington Street here. It terminates currently at the Century Center, right at the part of the Century Center that's the South Bend Museum of Art. And beyond the building to the north and to the south, that there's a really poor interface between the river and limited pedestrian access that kind of limits you and prevents you from getting to the island, which I think is a really great public asset in South Bend, but is difficult to get to and oftentimes locked that you can't get to the island. So taking that idea and articulating it in sort of with those principles is how could all of these spaces start to work together to really create a public realm and public environment that elevates this area, that allows that riverfront activity by having the new town square at the Gridiron and being able to flow through to a new signature riverfront park that allows you also to get down to the island and also connect north and south to John Hunt Plaza and south to other trails and parks south of here. And so this is the current view of this section of the Century Center today and what that could look like in the future. And what you can see here is that how Washington Street continues straight to, and that view opens back out. You'd be looking at the East Bank across the river. You could start to see the activity that's happening in Sites Park and beyond. And really trying to figure out a way, how do we get more people and to utilize this? But what's important here is that this does require a lot of partnerships. And South Bend Museum of Art is one of them. And they're a valuable part of our community. And this idea is not about moving them, but how do we activate the riverfront? But we would want to make sure that that partnership with the museum would be there to help find a new home that suits the needs and programming of their community, of all of our whole community into the future. And this couldn't happen without that happening first. So I just want to make it clear that this doesn't happen without a new home for the South Bend Museum of Art that we all agree and think is a great place for them and think that it can be a win-win for the whole community. So this doesn't happen without partnerships, and we value that partnership, and we want to make sure that everybody understands that this doesn't happen without that partnership. So what this would do is it would connect the active retail heart of downtown directly to the river through a series of activated public spaces. It creates a local and regional destination to downtown that I think would be really unique and great. So these are the blue boxes, just some of the principles that we would be looking to incorporate in any future development in and around this area. What's cool is we think that you can modify the existing Century Center building, and this is the main entry, and how you could take out the wall on the right to create a new glass curtain wall and have a lot more of this indoor-outdoor interaction between events at the Century Center and the signature riverfront park. This is a view from the island looking back to the west. Downtown south. So as we move further south, a couple ideas here: the Riverfront West neighborhood sports and entertainment hub, Western Avenue Transformation District, and Renaissance District in Union Station as we continue our walk from Century Center. And kind of the theme of this section is really expanding housing options. One of the biggest projects that we're working on that can prioritize housing of all income levels in downtown is the Riverfront West District. This would really help activate the river through additional housing and some limited retail as well. This is a project you can raise the blinds behind you, turn around, and you can see the work that we're currently doing on this site. This is what it looks like today, although less the second Crow building, which is now gone, and what it could look like tomorrow. And what we're showing here is another smaller park space opposite Howard Park. Actually, this is Western Avenue sort of terminates onto this park space, and you'd be able to look back across over to the East Bank and Howard Park. And while these two areas aren't directly connected, it'd be kind of neat to, they're visually connected. And what's cool about this image is that this building on the left is breaking ground this year. And the new streets are currently under construction. So this is not a idea. This is something that is happening, and so really looking forward to seeing these new buildings start to get built this year. As we move just to the west, going down Western, we get to the Sports and Entertainment District. So this is really about activating and enhancing a regional destination of the baseball stadium. So there's a lot of work that's happening in the area right now. I think will be completed this year. So looking forward to that second deck and a great new splash pad and other things. This is what it looks like today, filling it all in, but really want to focus in on these areas that are highlighted. The buildings on the right side that have are buildings, the Diamond View and Stadium Flats. So these are, Diamond View is the low-income housing tax credit project that's currently almost complete. I think there'll be occupants will start moving in very shortly, if not already. And then Diamond View are the buildings that flank Lafayette Street overlooking the stadium. Just north of the stadium, this is the old Gates lot and what we could potentially do there. And this is the old city parking lot and behind the AT&T building and South Bend Brew Works. So there's a few like key developments in this area that we can really look to help elevate this area, support the businesses and the this district as a whole. Moving just across the street from the baseball stadium, we've got the Western Avenue Transformation District, and this is an area that currently has been exclusively public housing for a very long time. And the idea here is to preserve housing affordability adjacent to new downtown amenities. We are working with the South Bend Housing Authority to replace every unit that was demolished. So there will be a 1-for-1 replacement of every unit. It's going to take a couple phases to do, but phase 1 is happening right now. We are working with the developer currently. This includes, when I say working with, I do mean with the Housing Authority as well. They're on all the calls. So we'll be replacing every unit and adding additional workforce housing and market rate units to this area. I think one of the goals here is how do we change the perception of a place that was considered a place that you didn't go to? And how do we change that perception to say, this part of South Bend is really part of South Bend. It is part of downtown. It is part of our community, and it's a place for everybody to be. And it just so happens to also have public housing in it as well. And so it's an important part of this broader idea. This is what it looks like today after Monroe Circle was demolished a few years back, and what it could look like in the future. And we're currently working on this park and that new road, and those are two things that are also currently in engineering right now. We're reviewing those plans, working with engineers to make sure to get this infrastructure built. We even had a meeting with high-ranking HUD officials just last week to unstick a HUD loan that has been kind of caught up in some bureaucracy. So I'm hoping that we did a good job and we'll get that loan to help build this infrastructure. This is what the corner of Western and Taylor looked like, not today actually, because that Rabbi Shulman is now no longer there, that building, but what it could look like in the future. And again, the developer we're working with is looking to how do we get a daycare center on that corner. They're actually looking at more of a 4-story building. I think this kind of shows a 1, 2, 3, 4, like a 5-story building. But so it's a little bit shorter, but the development principles are the same. As we move further south to the Renaissance District, so including areas south of the railroad tracks was another important part of the downtown planning process. And how do we really connect these areas to the areas to the north? And one of the hindrances to that are the viaducts, which I'll get to in a second. But this is a mixed-use technology campus that Kevin Smith has been working on for a while now, to repurpose over 1 million square feet of the historic Studebaker plant. And it's going to be, and it is a great anchor for the southern end of downtown. And I'm sure will continue to provide some of those jobs and people and other things that really sort of balances out the work that's happening in the northern part of downtown. Arts and culture is another key tenet of this plan. So we wanted to make sure that our plan aligns with South Bend Elkhart Regional Partnerships Arts and Culture Plan. So we work together with them to take principles out of their plan, see where our plan also had complementary ideas so that the two speak together very closely. What I've found in any time when we get one of these plans adopted is that we can use these plans as ways to help us get grants, and having them adopted by the city council is a really important part of that. And we have been pretty successful getting grants like for Kennedy Park and the blight elimination grants and other things that we've been able to get. And so Lilly also has a arts and culture grant. And so what we're really hoping is having these things work together so that we're very competitive for those grants in the future. Just a whole smattering of cultural assets in our community to build from. But our history and historic preservation is an important part of the plan as well. These are some of the buildings that, well, I was going to say not all of them are, most of them are not around anymore, except the middle one still is with us. And some of what they look like today. Now, a lot of these, some of these properties are used, most are underutilized, some are being revitalized as we speak. But we want to make sure that we preserve the remaining historic buildings in our community, as it really does not just speak to our past and the ambitions that folks had before us, but they're beautiful buildings and they deserve to be maintained and revitalized. All the colored parcels on this map illustrate historic properties that have some sort of historic value. And these are some principles that we would be utilizing in order to help revitalize those, bringing active uses back to historic structures, preserving original building materials to repair damaged facades, engaging public domain, and when adding new buildings to historic buildings, looking at ways that we can not mimic the past, but reflect some of the architecture of the past so that they work together. And I think the Rackler Murphy Encore Center is a great example of a new building that sits next to a historic building quite nicely. One building in particular that's a historic building and also a pretty amazing building is Union Station, and we are looking to bring active uses back to this important downtown landmark. We are actively working with Amtrak to reestablish service to Union Station, and the South Shore has indicated that in their long-term plans that this could be a second station for South Bend. So I think that this could be a really great opportunity for downtown to downtown transportation, and really excited about the potential for bringing the platforms back to Union Station. And this is another project where we are in engineering looking, can those platforms fit? Where would elevators and stairs go? And how do we utilize the space up on the viaduct to make this happen and work with Amtrak and their needs as well to make all this happen. So really great project, one that is not that we're moving forward with already. The public realm. So the public realm, this is the sidewalks, the streets, the parks, the plazas, the places that how we walk to and drive to between all these great things that we've shown. And this is what stitches it all together. So this is really about building those comfortable and accessible connections. And some of the public realm ideas to discuss here are gateways downtown, streetscapes for people, and riverfront and open spaces. So I mentioned those gateways earlier. We've got Main Street, Michigan Street, Lafayette, and United Drive, which no one has driven under in a long time because it's been vacated, but we're working with Kevin Smith to think about, can we reopen that as a way to add more permeability between the north side of the tracks and the south side of the tracks? But as we all have experienced, it's not always great to walk under these places. They're dark. Oftentimes, it's raining on sunny days under these in these viaducts, and I don't know what that liquid is, but is there ways that we can make it environmentally better to walk through, safer and more enjoyable? And here's a picture of Lafayette Street. Union Station is just beyond the fence on the right. The admin building is the building just beyond the tracks, and the Studebaker 84 building there as well. And what could it look like in the future? So what we want to do is really light it up and to help make it safer, looking at potential new development, art, and other things to really activate the space in terms of a space that you feel comfortable moving through. This is not about spaces to stop and contemplate things, but we want people to really see these as connections to the south side of downtown and vice versa, and also to potentially be really amazing gateways that really announce that you have arrived in South Bend as you drive in and out of our community. Streetscapes for people. This is an example of South Michigan Street right now, and what it could look like in the future. The idea here is, how do we add more green? How do we make those sidewalks safer, but also look at getting that development happening on either side of the street? And another great example here is almost every one of these buildings that I show is either being renovated or will break ground this year. So on the right side, we have historic developments, Milkweed Commons. In the very back down the street is the Monroe Arts Building. This is the former Inwoods Building and McNeese Music Building, I believe, and the Monroe on the left side. So all of these buildings are happening. So how do we also make the public domain match the level of effort that people are putting into the private side of this? Riverfront connectivity, also an important part. So we want to create an active, connected pedestrian network along the riverfront. We talked about some of those areas for new riverfront parks, but really looking at how we can enhance the walking and cycling experience along the river, and areas in which the green kind of penetrates back into either the core of downtown or the Riverfront West development site or in other places. And looking at how we can really utilize this idea of a continuous riverfront experience and loops. I think I heard Aaron talk about loops a lot of times, and when he was with the city, we were looping all over the place. But the idea here is like the maroon red loop is one in which maybe it's lunchtime and you want to take a quick walk. It's just under a mile, and allows you to have a really great experience in the core of downtown. But you might want to take a longer walk, and that blue line is closer to 2 miles. And made possible through a couple pedestrian bridges, one that exists down here by Howard Park, and the next one up just connecting Madison to Marion Street on the north side here. That also, what's great about this is it also connects to the Link Trail and it connects to the downtown trails. And I think, as you know, is like once you make connections between existing trail systems, it has a much greater effect. Like the Link Trail is great, but when you connect it with this bridge, you now can go to Leaper Park and you can go to other places on the west side. And what about all the residents that will be living in the Madison Lifestyle District? They might want to go back to the other side. So this is another great amenity for this part of the city. So how do we make sure that the quality of these buildings meets our expectations? I have high expectations. I think the community has high expectations, and you have high expectations. So we want to make sure that there are built form and design standards that help deliver the outcome that we're looking to do. So the report, I won't go into all the details, but there's illustrations as to how to do retail frontage and the principles of how to design great retail frontages. There are principles about how to make great apartments and townhouses and other things, and like looking at how we can do this so that we get that great sort of streetscape environment. Also looking at focal points throughout our community. This is a picture, an image of St. Patrick's Church on the corner of Wayne and is it Taylor? Yeah. And And it's a beautiful building. You can see it really well today because there isn't anything stopping that view. But in the future, we do hope to develop the blocks across the street from St. Patrick's. And this is just one example of this. But how can new development maybe peel back just a little bit so that we can continue to enjoy the frontage that is St. Patrick's? It's a beautiful building. It should be celebrated. And so how can small urban design moves really enhance some of the great buildings that we already have? And like I said, this is one example that we could look at others throughout the city as well. This is a future zoning map. There aren't a ton of changes other than we've looked at a couple commercial properties that probably should be considered, that we should probably look at phasing out, and how we can add more either downtown or some industrial parcels to the south. So more or less stays the same. Our zoning ordinance is pretty good when it comes to the downtown district, and lots of great things can happen in that district. So didn't feel the need for major changes to our land use map. So kind of rolling this all up, where are we 2 years later? So starting in 24, here we are today, March 26. So Casey talked about planning for success. The Beacon Tower, it's near completion. The Madison Lifestyle District, the garage construction should begin this spring. The pedestrian bridge, engineering is complete and bid. The Colfax Bridge, engineering is complete, construction to begin in 26 this year. Tech and Talent District, the Colfax Corner, final design, permits pending. Morris Performing Arts Center expansion complete. State Theater stabilized and under new ownership, which is a key thing I know Joe talked about, is ownership is such an important part of all of this. If you have bad owners, you can, and it's hard to pry these properties out of bad ownership. City Center Place, the facade restoration in progress. Monroe breaking ground this year. Milkweed Commons, Monroe Arts Building, renovation. Riverfront West, Building 1 permitted, new street under construction. And Joe talked at Redevelopment Commission about the River Glen properties and ideas that we have there. So these are not, these are all active things that we're trying to do. Diamond View, complete. Stadium Flats, breaking ground this year. Four Winds Field, nearing completion. The gateways to downtown, we've done some workshops and we're looking at a phase 0 to deal with some of the issues there, and looking at how we can really elevate those gateways in the future. And Union Station Amtrak engineering underway. So with all of that, none of this is possible without the help and all the input from residents, businesses, and organizations that shared their thoughts and visions for downtown. So I really want to thank everybody who participated in all of the events that we did over the course of the years. So thank you. Thank you. I also want to make sure I give a shout out to our consultant team, Urban Design Associates, fantastic group, Tori Gallus, who we work with a lot, RCLCO, Walker Consultants. Indiana Landmarks helped do the historic preservation piece. DTSB did a lot of work in resident engagement. And while they didn't necessarily participate in the day-to-day of this, the Community Foundation did donate, I think, $100,000 to the plan. So thank you to the Community Foundation helping sponsor this and help fund this as well. I also just want to acknowledge all of the mayor, the council members who are either district members here, Kenneth, Ophelia Gooden-Rogers, Troy Warner, and the members at large, and the staff that helped put this together, Kayla Bauer, former executive director, Mike DeVita, assistant director, Angela Rose, who is a senior planner, who is in North Dakota now, Chris Dressel, and Tanya Barreto. So with that, I want to say thank you for all your support through this process. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer as many as I can.
Thank you for that presentation. Council members, are there any questions? Nope.
I have a quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. A lot of information, a lot of great information. I do have a couple of questions, and I had to go and get some of my notes. But I have a couple questions about, you talked about the historic landmarks. And I know that Zion Hill and Sweet Home are historic landmarks right in that heart of that development. And I used to work at the Housing Authority for 12 years, so it's a passion of mine. But I didn't see or hear anything about that and wanted to know. I know that the South Bend, the Cubs assisted with some of the parking over there with Zion Hill before, but I didn't know if there's any discussion talking about whether it's culture or renovation of anything that's happening with those two historic landmarks. And then I wanted to, after that, I want to ask questions about the housing units.
Sure. So in terms of the historic properties, this is something that my team works with on a daily basis. So the historic preservation team is part of the planning team. And so I'm not sure if if it's on the National Register of landmarks, but it could be. And so we're open to working with,
I know for sure that Zion Hill, it was the first Black
I would have thought
church
so.
in the city of South Bend. And I
Yeah.
know that that's the reason why it is still standing because of it being designated as a historic landmark, the same as Sweet Home Church. So-
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember in the past where we were working with the Cubs and the church to develop the parking lot. That's been, I think it was like 2018, 17, somewhere in there. I remember drawing the parking lot for them. So yeah, anybody, all these, we're looking to make sure that these buildings are maintained, retained, and celebrated. And so we work with, folks to ensure that's
Okay, because I do know that they probably are in need of some work. So wanted to talk about when you were talking about culture and renovation. And I think that I saw one of the churches, I can't remember the name, that's on the north side of Western, over there by St. Hedwig's and
Patrick's?
yeah, St.
St.
Patrick's. I
Patrick's
believe
and
I
St.
saw that in there. So I just wanted to ask that question. My second question was about the housing authority, because I know I was one who pushed and had meetings about the units being established and with the council supporting some of the funding. One of my questions that I had was about the units. You mentioned a unit per unit being replaced, but my understanding, I thought, with some of the discussion was that being that the housing authority owns the land, but not the building, that it's not necessary for it to be a one-to-one replacement because not the residents that were displaced, and I believe it was over 200 and something residents that were displaced, they don't have to have the first right of refusal because it doesn't apply to them. So I'm just making sure that I'm understanding that correctly, that although 200 people were displaced, it's not necessary that those 200 people would be offered housing first because of the first right of refusal, because it's not owned by the housing authority any longer. Is that correct?
Well, the land is and will retain ownership with the housing authority. And the one-for-one replacement is just to ensure that we replace the units that were lost. Now, you are correct in that the folks that had lived in those places, I'm not sure they necessarily get a first right of refusal, but I think they're open to that idea. And that's really between the housing authority and whether and the folks that used to live there. Now, all of those folks have been relocated and live in different places. And I've heard many may not even live in South Bend any longer as well. But that would be something for Marcia and the housing authority to look at if they want to offer that first to those residents. But otherwise, the goal is to ensure that those housing units are replaced for affordable housing into the future.
Because I know that it's mixed race project based and also based on income, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from my understanding, we're talking to the housing authority that because of it being not owned by them, but it's on their land, that the 200 plus people that were displaced do not have the right of the first right of refusal, and that's not their decision So I just wanted to get some clarity, and if not, if you could find out for me.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any
All
other
right.
questions? If not, we'll go to the public hearing portion. Clerk Toronto, is anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor of this downtown plan? I ask that you come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, members of the Common Council. Excuse me. My name is Willow Weatherall, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director for Downtown Inc., the nonprofit place management organization responsible for supporting the vitality, safety, and economic health of downtown with offices at 2017 South Michigan Street. I'm so pleased to be here this evening to speak in support of the Downtown Master Plan. Downtown South Bend is one of the city's most valuable public assets. It's where we welcome visitors, where small businesses, nonprofits, and arts organizations converge to create a unique set of experiences that you can't find anywhere else. And it's where residents come together for shared moments of community, like the lighting of the holiday tree on the Gridiron, or the celebration of St. Patrick's Day Parade along Jefferson Boulevard, or watching fireworks on the 4th of July at Howard Park. It's also a critical economic engine. A strong downtown contributes directly to the tax base, supports job creation, and drives private investment. Investing in areas already supported by existing infrastructure is smart investment. It increases the return on taxpayer dollars and ensures that we are maximizing the value of what we've already built. DTSB had the opportunity to support the stakeholder engagement process for this plan. We helped promote the sessions, organize targeted focus groups, and the response was significant. Hundreds of people participated, both in person and by submitting online comments. And importantly, this plan reflects that input. It's been refined multiple times to incorporate feedback and align with the vision and values of our community. Even before its official adoption, DTSB, along with our board and committees, has treated this document as our North Star, guiding where we focus our time, energy, and resources. A master plan is how a city directs its investment, and right now more than $1 billion in investment is flowing into downtown South Bend. So the question before us is not whether investment is happening, it's whether we have a roadmap to ensure that this investment delivers the greatest possible positive impact. Downtown has not had a comprehensive master plan since the 1960s, when urban renewal was the prevailing strategy. And sadly, we accomplished much of that plan, particularly the clearing of historic buildings with the promise of something better to come. But in many cases, that investment never fully materialized, and where it did not always follow best practice of urbanism. And the result is what we still experience today, a downtown that, despite tremendous progress, still feels disjointed. Things are not actually that far apart in downtown, but to a visitor, they feel far apart when the space between destinations is dominated by surface parking lots or vacant and underutilized ground floor spaces. A strong pedestrian experience depends on a continuous rhythm, something to see or engage with every 5 seconds, which is roughly every 20 to 30 feet. When that rhythm is broken, the street feels disconnected, and this plan begins to repair that. It focuses on the fundamentals that make downtowns work: walkability, active ground floors, thoughtful infill, and a strong and connected and beautiful public realm. And it also outlines projects that will significantly repopulate downtown, effectively creating new neighborhoods. And this matters because work patterns have changed. Today, people are choosing where to live based less on where they work and more on quality of life and quality of place, and we're competing for that talent. When people come into our community, they experience downtown as the city's living room, just as they would when visiting someone's home for the first time. And as they look around, they ask, do I feel welcome here? Is it clean? Is it comfortable? Is this place engaging and beautiful? Do I feel safe here? And whether they're first-time visitors or long-term residents, they're ultimately asking, is downtown somewhere where I want to spend time, money, and bring my family and friends and return to again and again? And we want that answer to be a resounding yes. In closing, when DTSB conducted some of our earliest visioning sessions, we asked people to imagine an ideal day in downtown South Bend. And we asked dozens of people this question, and not one described a day that involved driving from place to place. Their ideal day centered on walking, biking, and sometimes even kayaking, moving easily through downtown to connect with friends and family, pursue opportunity, bring new ideas to life, enjoy great food, experience the art, and enjoy the beauty of the St. Joe River. No one wanted a car to mediate that experience. What people want is a place where they're delighted simply by being in the heart of our city, where everything feels connected, intuitive, and alive. Downtowns are never finished. They're living systems that require stewardship, coordination, and long-term vision. We now have that opportunity, decades after our last plan, to shape a downtown that is truly walkable, wanderable, cohesive, vibrant, and lovable. A place where people feel safe, connected, inspired, and proud, and one that visitors can't stop talking about. On behalf of Downtown South Bend, we strongly encourage you to approve the Downtown Master Plan, and we look forward to working with our city partners to help bring this vision to life. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next person, please. And if you guys want to line up and just line up, that way we can make it go a lot faster. Thank you. State your name and address for the record, please.
Tina Patton, 707 Sherman Avenue, and I'm the president of Cross Community Development Corporation and also co-pastor of Kingdom Life Christian Cathedral. And I say that because I just want to show my commitment to the city. I've been living here all of my life, so many of you know me probably since I was just a little tight. But I want to say that I support of Plan 2045. And here to speak in support of the Downtown South Bend 2045 plan. Downtown is the heart of the city. And when downtown thrives, our neighborhoods thrive too. Small businesses, nonprofits, families, and residents will all benefit. And I appreciate that this plan is community driven. I was part of the establishment of this plan early, a couple of years ago when we had the original library meetings. And as a developer and as a faith-based leader, I was invited to the original meetings. And I saw how residents, businesses, institutions, and stakeholders came together to shape this vision. And so anybody that wanted to be engaged could be engaged. And so because of that engagement, the plan reflects the people who actually live and work here. And that's why I like this plan so much. And the plan focuses on what we need here in downtown South Bend. And as Tim already said, revigorating the heart of downtown, attracting jobs and people, and to my heart, expanding housing opportunities. When I first started working with the city with my affordable housing pilot development program, the question was presented to me if we could find people who wanted to live in the northwest side of South Bend. Now, as we see what is going on in the northwest side of South Bend, we have waiting lists of people who want to live in the northwest side of South Bend. And right here, walking distance of downtown South Bend. And so downtown already has incredible assets, has culture, has art, has recreation. And this plan builds on those strengths while already creating more housing, supporting local businesses, and designing vibrant public spaces where families can stay and grow and live and learn, and others can enjoy from other regions where they come from other places to come to visit South Bend. And so adopting this Downtown 2045 plan sends a message that South Bend is committed to thoughtful growth, inclusive development, and a downtown that serves everyone. And for these reasons, I respectfully encourage this commission to adopt the Downtown 2045 plan. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for the opportunity that you've given me to speak on this plan tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next person, please. Speaking in favor?
It's more not favor or against, just some things I felt need to be addressed or added perhaps.
I could, right now we're doing people.
Favor, I mean, I'm in favor of it.
Okay.
I just,
Okay.
maybe
Okay.
some questions.
Okay.
One of the things I noticed with taking out the South Bend Art Museum, when we had those two major floods, if that art museum wasn't there, I'm wondering if it would have flooded more of the downtown. So I'm thinking maybe the Army Corps of Engineer studies would need to be carefully looked at before taking that out. Just a thought there. I noticed a lot of bright lights. which I understand the safety, but I'd also like, basically, I'm talking about sustainability. I'd like it to include lights that are favorable to nature and they don't face up, they face down. Native trees and plantings. We had, all sorts of pear trees down Miami Street. So I'd like to see, some of the sustainability included in the plan. Whether the sewers are going to accommodate all of it. I'd love to see sustainability for the roofs, green roofs, solar on those roofs, something like that. Also, sustainability for the buildings like R factors, ADA access considered on all of this, the security in the parking garages. One of the things I didn't see in the plan is I didn't see Miami Street included, which is just a street of light at this point. And I didn't see Sample Street included, again, a lot. So I'm just wondering if it could be expanded. I'm not against or for against, just expanded to include more sustainability, because that's going to become more and more important that we do sustainable practices. And as much as possible, do to save the older buildings, do deconstruction if possible. The dumps are really getting full. And so I just like to see a sustainability component added to the plan. That's what I'm basically asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person speaking in favor. State your name and address for the
Matthew
record.
Kahn, current chairperson of DTSB. My offices are at 100 North Michigan Street, South Bend, Indiana, 46637. I am speaking in favor. Had Tim gone a couple minutes longer, I might have changed my mind though. I'm in bed by 9:30 and I sleep by 10.
So are most of us.
I grew up in South Bend. My father worked downtown and we lived near Leaper Park. Some of my best memories come from those years, spending summer days playing tennis at Leaper Park, winters ice skating and playing hockey at Howard Park. I remember playing in the dirt as they were digging out the foundation at Century Center and being among the first to raft down the East Race waterway when it was opened. Those experiences shaped my appreciation for the city and the power of thoughtful planning. South Bend's resurgence today is no accident. It's the result of decades of vision and commitment. As a young adult in the late 90s, I was fortunate to be part of the planning process that led to Vision 2020. From that effort, a small group of us went on to form Downtown South Bend, Inc., a public-private partnership focused on strengthening what we all share, our downtown. Recently, I was honored to return to the board and now serve as chair of that organization. Under Willow Weatherall's leadership, Downtown South Bend, Inc. has worked closely with the city to foster meaningful community engagement around the Downtown 2045 plan. This is the right time to move forward. Since 2024, South Bend has seen over $1 billion worth of public and private investment, with more on the horizon. The University of Notre Dame's continued investment will truly be transformative. We are proud that DTSB has helped bring voices together and support this process. We're grateful for the leadership of Mayor James Mueller, Tim Corcoran, and their team in shaping this plan, and we look forward to contributing our role in this vital private-public partnership. Together, we can build an even better South Bend, a place where people want to live, work, and play.
Thank you very much. Next person. State
Good
your name and
evening.
address for the record.
Hi, my name is Gwen O'Brien, and I live at 739 North Francis Street in South Bend. I'm the Director of Community Relations at the University of Notre Dame, and I have served on the DTSB board for 3 years, currently as Vice Chair. First, tonight, I'd like to speak to you on behalf of Notre Dame. As you know, the university is committed to the vision outlined in the Downtown 2045 plan, led by Ancora, an investment management firm that works with universities to deliver projects that support academic, research, and community goals. The university has partnered with the city, the state, as well as philanthropic partners to develop the Downtown Tech and Talent District. As envisioned by the Downtown 2045 plan, the Tech and Talent District will serve as a catalyst for broader revitalization. The first phase, as Tim said, will be called Colfax Corner, and when completed, it will provide an estimated 400 high-tech jobs into the downtown area. The Ancora-led project features the restored South Bend Tribune building and an adjoining modern facility at the corner of Colfax and Main. You've probably seen the barricades up. They're about to start taking that down. So that is where a new adjacent building to the Tribune will be built, and it will strengthen downtown as a hub of technological advancement. These structures will be linked with a breezeway, a second floor breezeway, and underneath it will frame an outdoor public plaza for events and everyday use like having coffee and visiting with people at lunchtime. Demolition of the existing buildings at Colfax and Main will commence with vertical construction for Colfax Corner anticipated this summer to begin, and the completion expected to be done in 2 years, the summer of 2028. Phase 2 of the Ancora-led project will eventually expand across Lafayette Boulevard. Now I'd like to speak to you as me, a resident of South Bend. My husband Terry and I, Terry's over there looking at his phone, live in the Northeast neighborhood, having moved there from Granger 5 years ago. We see South Bend in the midst of a renaissance, and we want it to be as close as possible to that energy. We aren't alone in our excitement. Our eldest daughter and her family recently moved back from Detroit after a magical Thanksgiving weekend in 2024, visiting Potawatomi Zoo for the holiday lights and Howard Park for ice skating. The significant investments in the zoo and the park caused them to see South Bend in a new light. And after living in a suburb of a large city, they love the ease of life here, parking and walking a few blocks and meeting friends and family for events like the recent St. Patrick's Day Parade. I think we have all met people recently who have chosen South Bend as home because they're seeing what's happening. And the best is yet to come for downtown, and it receives the attention that it deserves. With the vision of Downtown 2045 and partners like the city, the state, and philanthropists, and Ancora, we will get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, please.
Beth Weber. I live at 824 North St. Peter Street, South Bend, Indiana, 46617. I am a newer resident to South Bend. Some of my background, I am a Navy brat. I am a 20-year Navy veteran. And then I continued my support to my husband, who served 33 years in the Navy. So my whole life, I've been moving around from San Diego to Jacksonville to Puerto Rico to Washington, D.C. to Japan 4 years. And most recently, we moved here from San Diego. So my whole life has been spent moving around the country and around the world with the Navy. So I never really had a hometown until now. In July of 2022, my husband and we came here to South Bend from San Diego after living there 5 years, and we love it here, for a program here at Notre Dame, and thinking we would stay around for a year. Like so often in our past, we just thought we were passing through. But something happened here in South Bend. We found ourselves enchanted by the city, by its people, its creativity, and its sense of possibility. South Bend has what I'd like to say good bones, but as Tim mentioned, it all needs to be stitched together. You can see it. I immediately saw it in the architecture, the river, the murals. I fell in love with the murals. I came here during Mural Fest. The local parks. I love the library system and the businesses, and most of all, the people who really care deeply about their neighborhoods and downtown. The city has history, as we talked about in the presentation, character, and a great deal of heart. But I would add it sometimes good bones aren't enough. Cities need a coordinated plan and a coordinated course and a clear plan, and that's why I'm here tonight to support Downtown South Bend 2045. What impressed me most about the process is not just the final document, but how it was created. And I attended 2 focus groups and 2 report outs along with many other citizens. I watched the residents, the business owners, the families, and community leaders show up and again to offer their perspectives. The plan represents the work of countless people and citizens, and those, most importantly, those who care deeply about South Bend. It reflects thoughtful listening, data, and vision. It acknowledges the strength while recognizing areas where we can grow, such as connectivity, safety, placemaking, and supporting local businesses, and housing as well. Most importantly, it gives us something we need moving forward, a strategic and coordinated roadmap. As someone who chose South Bend as my new hometown, I believe deeply in the direction that this plan lays out. It honors the city's history while preparing it for the future, and it sends an important message that South Bend believes in itself. And with thoughtful, coordinated plan like this, we have the opportunity for South Bend to become even stronger, more vibrant for generations to come. So I encourage you to adopt the Downtown South Bend plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next person, please.
Good evening. My name is Brad Emberton. I live at 615 West Colfax Avenue in downtown South Bend. I live, work, play, invest, and volunteer in our community on an ongoing and regular basis. I appreciate the time, effort, and attention to detail that the city, and particularly Tim and his department, put into developing this thoughtful plan. I participated in the process on more than one occasion. I support the entire plan and everything that was put into it. I strongly encourage you all to pass this plan and going forward, use it as a guide when you make your decisions about what you're going to invest in, vote on, and support in downtown South Bend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person, please.
Evening again, Council. Aaron Perry. I live at 219 East Colfax Avenue. In fact, I've lived and worked in downtown South Bend my entire adult life. I love this place. I'm going to love it even more once this is done, and I couldn't pass up the opportunity to speak in favor of this plan. Congratulations to everyone who put so much diligent work into this plan. It's principled. It's well thought out. It's exciting. It's got momentum behind it. And if it's executed in the same fashion in which it was planned, I think we'll all be in a much better place soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, is there anyone online that wants to speak?
I do not see anyone additional online at this time that is wishing to speak in favor or in opposition.
All right. Is there anyone in the chambers that wants to speak in opposition? All right.
No.
All right, we'll make sure. All right, at this point, the public hearing portion of this resolution is now closed. Any comments?
I have one.
Yes,
I would
ma'am.
like to say to Councilwoman McBride that when this process began with the Rabbi Schumann and the plans first was being looked at, and you could go and visit, when they have the programs, that in talking with Marsha Parham, I'm gonna say director of the Housing Authority, she did say that people that was displaced would be given a first chance to come back. Now, she told me that at 2 different meetings now. That was only a verbal, so I don't know if she's gonna stand by that, but I'm sure she will. But it was discussed.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any comments? This is awesome. I've lived in South Bend all my life, 49 years. To see the progress that is happening within our city and the work that's been going into it, all I've ever wanted was South Bend to be a place where our kids would want to live here and can thrive here And to be able to see that things are coming together for that to happen is very exciting for me. So at that point, I will now entertain a motion.
And move to adopt.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski, President Lee.
Aye.
I have 9 ayes.
All right. The Downtown Plan 2607 has been adopted. All right, everybody.
Thank you very much. I won't apologize for all the construction that's about to happen, so buckle up.
Thank you.
Send all the complaints to you.
All right.
Please send them to Aaron Perry.
No, everybody, you can't leave. We got to all finish this thing together. We're... All right, Clerk Toronto, please give Bill 14-26 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 915 Harrison Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 1, in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
All right, I would like to entertain a motion to send to the Board of Zoning Appeals for public hearing on April 6th and send to Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on April the 13th.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes. Clerk Toronto, please give 15-26 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 1245 East Madison Street, Councilmanic District Number 4, in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I will now entertain a motion to send to the Board of Zoning Appeals for public hearing on April 6th and send to the Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on April the 13th.
So. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Clerk Toronto, please give 16-26 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 1010 Furbringer Street, Councilmanic District Number 1, in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I would now like to entertain a motion to send to the Board of Zoning Appeals for public hearing on April 6th and send the Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on April 13th.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. With Councilman Warner not being in the chambers now, can we still do a vote of? Okay. All right. All in favor? Any opposition? All right, motion passes. Clerk Toronto, could you please give Bill 17-26 a first reading?
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 812 Oak Street, Councilmanic District Number 1, in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I will now entertain a motion to send to the Board of Zoning Appeals for public hearing on April 6th and sending to the Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on April 13th, 2026.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passes. All right. Clerk Toronto, please give 18-26 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 1249 Corby Boulevard, Councilmanic District Number 4, in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I will now entertain a motion to send to the Board of Zoning Appeals for public hearing on April 6th and send to Zoning and Annexation on April 13th.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. All right. Is there any unfinished business? If not, is there any new business?
I just want to say a prayer for, I believe we lost one of our first responders, a firefighter. I saw this week, I think. Just prayer to the family of him, and also special prayer for my dear friend Selena Carr, who is the HR director for the county, who just passed away on Saturday. So just wanted to council to keep them lifted up.
Any other new business?
Yes, Sunday, Pastor Lee and we attended the groundbreaking for Gethsemane, new church. That's groundbreaking should have took place today. I mean, the digging should have took place today.
Yep. Also, we want to congratulate Professor Mike Morris and his entrepreneurship class. They had a graduation on Saturday. It was several minority businesses or small businesses, and they're now going to the next level. So it was a great event. I'm thankful for that. All right, privilege of the floor. Disrespectful, rude, or disruptive speech or actions will not be tolerated. Such speech or actions, as well as verbal attacks on any person, may result in an individual without notice forfeiting the remainder of his or her allotted time. Individuals who wish to address the council must state their name and residential address. Individuals will be limited to 3 minutes only. The maximum time limit for this portion of the meeting shall be 30 minutes. Individuals shall not be permitted to address topics which the council has heard previously on the agenda. The council president may assign a topic raised by an individual during the privilege of the floor to the appropriate council member and/or request the city clerk to contact a member of the city administration for review, and topics assigned should be responded to at the next scheduled council meeting. At this time, would you state your name and address for the record?
Sue Kessom, 4022 Kennedy Drive. 3 generations from now, no one will remember this meeting, but they will live with the consequences of what you decide. You're making decisions that look inexpensive today, but are far more costly over time. When we demolish buildings, the problem doesn't go away. We're simply moving it into landfills where it becomes a growing burden, both environmentally and financially for future generations. Out of sight does not mean it just disappeared. There are proven alternatives. Cities across the country use deconstruction instead of demolition, creating jobs, reducing waste, and reclaiming valuable materials. We had an opportunity to do that here when I suggested before the 1,000 houses filled our local dump. How many more buildings have been added to the dump since then? It looks like a mountain now. We have brownfields, land already impacted that could have solar panels and data centers on it instead of productive farmland. If you are serious about sustainability, you won't cover the land that's still healthy and feeding people. And then there's something even more concerning. The remaining 160 acres of old forest at Rum Village. That's not just for human consumption and fun. It's a treasured ecological infrastructure built over generations. Once those root systems are damaged, once the ecosystem's disrupted, it does not come back in our lifetime. A bike trail can be rerouted. A forest like that cannot be replaced. This is where leadership matters, because leadership is not what is easiest. It's about what's right over time. Right now, the pattern is clear. You're choosing speed over stewardship, convenience over conservation, short-term savings over long-term responsibility. And that's not leadership at its highest level. Reconsider deconstruction instead of demolition. Prioritize brownfields for solar. Protect the remaining old growth forest as a permanent asset. Because the real question is not what these decisions cost today, but what decisions will be paid for by future generations. Leadership at its highest level is stewardship for the future. Please be responsible leaders. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Toronto, is there anyone else in the chambers or online that would like to speak during privilege of the floor?
At this time, I do not see any. At this time, I do not see anyone online or in the chambers wishing to speak under privilege of the floor.
All right, thank you. With that being said, we will now adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much for your time, your talent, and your resources.